Chapter 241. One General Achieves Success Part 4. As for the others, they're probably mostly dead by now, buying them quite a bit of time. The lives of 2,000 men, exchanged for their 2 lives, was too good a deal. Princely heir. I just went to the forest and received a report from Hai Dongqing. Sha Wenlong said reassuringly. General Liu is about to break through Sword Gate Canyon to come to our aid. Truly, his valor is unmatched in history. We are saved. Princely heir? You're wounded. Cough, cough. Chow Fan wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, collapsing to the ground. I was internally injured while defending the city. General Sha, you need not worry about me. Absurd. I am Shang Chun. Sha Wenlong carried the princely heir on his back. Your Highness, please don't give up. Chun Sansi and others are indeed dead this time. Once we get out, if we follow General Liu Ji and achieve a few merits, upon your return to Liangzhou, you'll be the leading true inheritor. Luotian Pass. Yu Song led over 1,000 men, camping on the plains 30 li outside the pass, using fabrics collected along the way as military flags and beating drums that shook heaven and earth, entirely appearing like a massive army about to storm the gate at any moment. Inside the pass's fortress, Liu Shoujiang, in charge of defending, stood at a high point, watching the fiercely advancing Great Shang soldiers, his expression grave. General, what should we do? A subordinate asked frantically. With so many people, shouldn't we immediately notify Liang Dashui to gather all the troops from the West Bank here? What's the rush? If it's just a feint to bluff us, wouldn't it cause Maishan Prefecture to fall into danger? Liang Dashui has warned of this. Liu Shoujiang said sternly, pass my order. For now maintain our defense and observe the enemy. Once they begin to storm the pass, send out 2 Hua Jin generals to probe their reality. Unless it is confirmed that their main general Yu Song is present, consider it merely a feint. 1 day later. Report. General. Just now, the enemy attacked the city. Both Hua Jin generals we sent to break their formation were killed, and through reconnaissance it's confirmed that the one attacking is a general in the Meridian Passage realm. Besides Yu Song, who else could it be? Where are they now? They withdrew just before dawn, also suffering heavy losses. We roughly counted, and just the dead on their side are over 400 men, no doubt their main force. Oh yes, there was also a young general wielding a long spear. Hearing how they shouted, it seemed like that Chun Sansi. Good. Liu Shoujiang rejoiced. In that case, with Yu Song and Chun Sansi both present, quickly write a letter. Tell Liang Dashui to immediately have the forces on the west bank cross the river to encircle them. The sooner, the better. Don't give them another chance to escape. The intelligence was swiftly written, tied to the leg of a black hawk, and flown toward the west, in the direction of Maishan. This black hawk was incredibly swift. It was sent by the West Qi Kingdom after their alliance with the Red Eyebrow Army, incomparably precious, even more so than the Hai Dongqing often used by the Great Shang Dynasty. Reserve camp, campsite. In the darkness, the great village, having only 500 men left, was still brightly lit with torches. All the soldiers patrolled, not a single one rested, thus creating the illusion of substantial military strength. How was it, Qian, playing Chun Sansi today? Was it exciting? Yu Song looked at the young, refining internal beside him, joking. Scaring the fools at Luotian Pass silly. Exciting, yes, but my cultivation is a bit low. I almost blew it a few times. Captain Qian said a bit awkwardly. Luckily those they sent out to probe weren't too powerful, and with Vice Admiral Yu's help covering for me, I barely managed to bluff through. Qian, do you feel wronged? Yu Song passed over the last of drunk saint. You're only 25 or 26 years old. It was I who insisted on following you, so what's there to feel wronged about? Captain Qian smiled. Besides, if Mr. Chun and the others succeed, it would mean having accomplished a great feat. By then, our families will surely be richly rewarded. No need for us to worry about them. Yes, you're right. Yu Song stood up, a trace of excitement hidden in his eyes. We soldiers, who doesn't have the ambition to achieve heavenly merit, to fulfill those ambitions would mean dying without regrets. Moreover, after this, General Chun will truly have commanded a large-scale battle, accumulating rich experience. Once the commander retires, there's hope for the 8 camps. You and I, fortunate to take part in this battle, haven't lived in vain. Captain Chen looked toward the fish-belly white of dawn in the east. Vice Admiral Yu, the problem is we can't hold out much longer. They ultimately only had a little more than 1,000 men. Now only half remained after several onslaughts. A couple more assaults would expose them. Estimating the time, it should be soon. Yu Song silently watched the empty wilderness ahead, falling into silence. Maishan Prefecture. Husband, please drink the medicine. Gao Peiwen held a spoon, urging, if your body collapses, how will you accomplish what you've planned? Liang Jinian said nothing but stared at the map, muttering, I can't afford to lose any more. The effect of the immortal items is weakening. If I lose again, there should be news from Luotian Pass by now. Cheep! An acute screeching sound rang out. A dark figure flew directly through the window into the room, landing in front of the scholar. Liang Jinian quickly took the intelligence from the dark figure's leg, reading it before his face lit up with unabashed joy. Good! The presence of Main General Yu Song at Luotian Pass is confirmed. They are doomed this time. Someone, pass down my commander's order. Let the entire army cross the river and march straight to Luotian Pass. After eradicating the reserve camp, stay at Luotian Pass and prepare to meet up with Dong An's troops arriving later, getting ready to face the forces coming from the great wilderness of the Shang Dynasty capital. Chapter 242. One General Achieves Success Part 5. It's over. It's all over. As long as the reserve camp's remnants are successfully annihilated, we will be able to steady the situation in the southeast corner and then block the capital's troops coming from Shang Dynasty. At worst, we will be entangled in a protracted war of attrition with Shang Dynasty's forces. The grand scheme of Ming State is settled. Outside Luotian Pass, the eastern sky slowly welcomed a rising red sun. A fast horse galloped out of the morning glow. Its rider, a scout, bellowed in a loud voice, Report! On the west bank of the Hongze River, in the direction of Maishan Prefecture, at least 7,000 troops are crossing the river. Based on their march, it will take them at most another day and a half to reach the Grand Luotian Pass. Good! Yu Song was overjoyed and with a wave of his hand, ordered, Set fire, burn the mountain. The rest of you, follow me and break through to the great wilderness. Break through. Wulian Mountain. This place is where Hongze River meets Wushui River. Chun Sansi had his men waiting here well in advance. General Chun. Lu Shuhua counted the days. We've been hiding in this spot for 4 or 5 days. How come we've seen no signal from Vice Admiral Yu and his men? If this doesn't work, should we turn back? Wait a bit longer. Chun Sansi replied calmly. Vice Admiral Yu and his men are capable. Smoke! Fire! No sooner had he spoken than everyone saw billowing black smoke rising in the southeast, like a black dragon ascending to the skies, spiraling above Luotian Pass and ferociously devouring the momentum of the Red Eyebrow Army. Success. Due to the distance between them to ensure rapid communication, setting the mountains on fire was used as the signal. Now that the wildfire had spread for 100 miles, it indicated that Vice Admiral Yu and his men successfully attracted the last of Red Eyebrow Army's elite forces, leaving their main stronghold, Maishan Prefecture, in an unprecedented state of vulnerability. Next, it is the final dance of this battle. Prepare the chariot, General. Convey my command. Chun Sansi's pupils gleamed resolutely in the sunlight. His voice as sonorous as a great bell, reverberated in the ears of 2,000 soldiers. After the entire army crosses the Hongze River, seize the bridge and cross the Wushui River, then march straight for Maishan Prefecture. Capture Liang Jinian alive. Capture Liang Jinian alive. Capture Liang Jinian alive. 2,000 men shouted in unison, their morale soaring to unprecedented heights. At this moment, in Chun Sansi's eyes, the phrase sinking formation death will surfaced once again. Even if individuals like Yen Chongqing had different thoughts due to their status and positions, at this very moment, everyone shared one common goal in mind: kill the traitors. Who says I bear no clothes? With my brothers I share my robe. Brothers, cross the river. They were already well prepared, crossing the Hongze River for the 4th time within a mere 2 days. Qian Sun and other horses had long been waiting on the riverbank. The Wushui River, it has a bridge. Their horses could advance unobstructed, reaching Maishan Prefecture at lightning-fast speed, appearing like heavenly soldiers descending upon the earth. Break through! The remnants of the reserve camp, led by Yusong. The last 30 horsemen, riding on seized warhorses, set fire to the mountains on their return journey after failing to force their way through Luotian Pass, resolving to cross back over the Hongze River and re-enter the heart of Ming State. Unfortunately, they were surrounded on all sides by the enemy army, encircled as tightly as if in an iron barrel. In a valley, they were left with no room to retreat. How come there are only so few men? Lu Shoujiang reined in his horse, frowning at the mere 30-odd riders before them, and demanded loudly, "Yusong, where are the rest of your men? Tell us their whereabouts and you will be spared." They were the ones who had converged from all directions. Theoretically, no one should have been able to escape. But they had only managed to kill less than 1,000 enemies. The reserve camp's remnants clearly numbered more than 3,000. The answer they received was the sound of swords being drawn. Reserve camp. Charge. Yusong raised the MO blade high. The last 30 or so riders of the reserve camp charged into the enemy army's formation of tens of thousands. In an instant, they were overwhelmed, disappearing without a trace, like mud cows into the sea. Yangchun Prefecture. The rebel army's main camp. Dong'an, donning his full armor with the help of his attendants, took up a He Miao long sword. He looked much better than he had in days, his eyes brimming with confidence. Report. Outside the city, about 50 miles away, we suspect we've discovered traces of Sha Wenlong and others. General Xiang is already in pursuit. Commander, do you wish to go see for yourself? I know. Once the battle report from Maishan Prefecture arrives, I will personally go there myself. Dong'an, holding a writing brush, sketched and planned on a map. But his focus wasn't on the movements of the reserve camp's remnants. Instead, he was strategizing the overall situation in Ming State. The reserve camp's men couldn't possibly still be alive. The arrangements at Luotian Pass were foolproof, and the feint they employed was no longer effective. That Chun kid has run out of tricks at last. Once the confirmation of the result matches his prediction, Dong'an will personally don his armor, first to pursue and kill Sha Wenlong, and then to assist Zhong Wuxin in the battle against Ji at Swordgate Canyon. The subsequent battles, however, seemed uninteresting to him, simply a contest of military strength and logistical support, without much room for surprises. Report. Word from Luotian Pass. The reserve camp's remnants have been completely wiped out. Vice Admiral Yusong's head is on its way here. Wait a second. Dong'an sensed something amiss. Only Yusong? Where's Chun Sansi's head? Commander. The soldier bowed his head, not daring to meet his gaze. There's more important news. According to the battle report from Lu Anqing, they killed around 1,000 of the enemy. The whereabouts of the other 2,000 are unknown. Dong'an shouted angrily, "Nonsense! Speak clearly. Commander, I have told all there is to tell." Chapter 243, One General Achieves Success Part 6. The soldier's voice trembled slightly. "It's just that we didn't find the person. Just 2,000 people missing, and you tell me it's just..." Bang! Dong'an kicked violently. The soldier spat out blood and died on the spot. Inside the tent, there was deadly silence. None of the soldiers dared to speak. Dong'an returned to the front of the map, picked up the brush again, and mumbled to himself as he analyzed. Impossible. The reserve camp was surrounded by a large army from all 4 directions. After they attacked Luotian Pass, it was absolutely impossible for them to have time to retreat. Unless these 2,000 men never really went to attack Luotian Pass but had hidden away early. That means this attack on Luotian Pass was another diversion. No! All the main generals were there. Yu Song's head has already been cut off. This has been confirmed by multiple sources. There is no mistake. All the main generals were killed in battle. Absurd. How could there ever be an example of main generals letting their subordinates die to cover their escape? If it really was so, what were they trying to do? Where did the other 2,000 men escape to? Dong spared no effort, brought in a brand new map, and replayed the course of the battle in Ming's state from beginning to end, until midnight when a loud thunder sounded in the sky, and the brush in his hand dropped to the floor with a plop. Whoosh! Ming's state was hit by a downpour again, extinguishing the last flicker of hope in his heart. It's all over. All over. Thump! Commander! The soldiers hurriedly came forward. This time, 2 hours later, Dong finally opened his eyes again. He lay on the cot, his lips pale as if he had walked back from the brink of death. Go tell Liang Jinian to run. Never mind. It's too late. Too late. What do you mean too late? The soldiers, confused by what they heard, felt an inexplicable panic as they looked at the commander. Commander! A deputy general leaned over the cot and earnestly asked, Commander, please explain clearly. You're a brilliant strategist. How could it be too late, even if it's just to minimize our losses? Dong closed his eyes and said nothing more, as if he were a dying man. The men had no choice but to go inform Liang Jinian. Meanwhile, Maishan Prefecture. Outrageous! Liang Jinian angrily slammed the table. 2,000 men! How could Lu Anqing let so many people go, and then tell me they're untraceable? Commander, where could they be? The last city guard general in Maishan Prefecture, He Xianliang, asked. From the moment they attacked Luotian Pass, they shouldn't have had any chance to escape. Not good. Liang Jinian paled in shock. They never even attacked Luotian Pass. How could that be possible? He Xianliang said, Commander, the head of Yu Song from the remnants of the reserve camp is undeniably real. Could the main general have stayed behind to cover our retreat with his life? It's exactly because of this that they fooled all of us. Deceitful villains. Liang Jinian wanted to flip the table, but lacking the strength, he instead ended up falling to the ground, where he roared fiercely, How could this be? How could this be? Even if he is exceptional, he is still just 1,000 captain. 1,000 captain could command a main general to willingly die. There's no logic in this at all. How could Yu Song have consented? Someone, come quickly. He Xianliang. How many men do we have left? He Xianliang answered, Commander's trusted aide, plus the last of the city guard army. We still have over 200 men left. Is something the matter? Over 200 men. Not enough to defend the city. Liang Jinian grabbed the map. Wait, I remember. Aren't there still over 1,800 people slaughtering in Linhe County? Yes, Commander. He Xianliang explained. These people are the original veterans of Maishan Mountain Village. After winning the Central Region's battles, they came back here as a reward from you, Commander, for slaughtering the city. There's still time, Liang Jinian ordered. Immediately summon them back to Maishan Prefecture, and be sure to intercept the remnants of the reserve camp on the road. What? Hearing this, He Xianliang finally understood why the commander was so panicked, and said incredulously, Commander, you mean to say, this can't be possible, right? Commander, it's terrible. A member of the Red Eyebrow Army burst into the hall, dripping with urine. 100 li outside the city we found approximately 2,000 cavalry. It's unknown where they came from. They claim to be heavenly soldiers and generals, and they are here to reclaim the heavenly book bestowed to the commander by the immortal. He Xianliang was in shock. The remains of the reserve camp indeed appeared just as the commander had said. What's the difference between this and real heavenly soldiers and generals? Nonsense. They are the remnants of the reserve camp. Where are any heavenly soldiers? Liang Jinian angrily said. They are saying this merely to intimidate you. He knew if they succeeded, the rebel army's might would collapse in an instant. Everyone across the world would think him devoid of virtue and capability. The heavenly book would return to Dashing, signifying Dashing's power is not yet exhausted, and it was all just an unremarkable rebellion. Fine. I will use the heavenly book and have a decisive battle to the death with you. Liang Jinian removed several pages of golden paper from his person, flowing with mystical formation symbols. He Xianliang immediately knelt down. Please bestow the formation, Commander. Boom! A surge of mystical energy that mortals could not perceive entered He Xianliang's body. Go! Liang Jinian swept his sleeve. After the bestowed formation, you all will have the strength for a battle. Rest assured, Commander. He Xianliang accepted the command. Since Yusong has died, even if it's that Chun Sansi leading men here, at his best he has only just reached minor Huajin, while I at least have achieved minor meridian passage. Plus with the formation bestowed by the commander. I swear on my life, I will definitely win this battle, and then bring back Chen's head to present to the commander. Quickly go. Liang Jinian said nothing more, just watching his silhouette as he slowly closed his eyes and sighed. The Red Eyebrow Army's severe lack of high-ranking generals was their fatal flaw. But He Xianliang, having come from a major sect and achieved minor meridian passage, might not necessarily be inferior to that Chun Sansi. Nevertheless, if this battle succeeds, it's not yet too late. If this battle is lost, his life is over. Chapter 244. Set the overall situation. Obtain the heavenly book. Outside Maishan Prefecture. Dark clouds covered the sky. Thunder rumbled continuously. A fierce storm erupted, evil qi rising. More than 2,000 cavalry charged south from the north bank of Wushui, harboring a towering killing intent. Above the pitch-black heavenly dome, each flash of lightning illuminated the dense and uniformly arranged cavalry formation. Truly as if the heavenly god was furious, a divine army descending. Along the way, passing county towns, none were without terror. Qi may lack virtue, the heavenly generals come to collect. The deafening slogan quickly resonated along the north bank of Wushui, spreading among the people. This is the momentum to kill. Report. Zhao Kong, riding his horse swiftly, arrived. Sir, 10 miles ahead, an army formation appears on the essential road to Maishan Prefecture. It looks like they've hurried over from the nearby Linhe County. General Chun. Lu Shuhua asked, what do you think we should do? Kill. Chen Sansi spat out a word. There isn't always a strategy available. When necessary, there's only one word. Kill. Amidst thunder and lightning, the two armies encountered each other directly. Looking as far as the eye can see, the Red Eyebrow Army arrayed their formation, which isn't recorded in the military books. The Heavenly Book formation. Their formation was orderly and vaguely. It seemed they were utilizing the power of heaven and earth, with a stream of pure white Xian Qi circling above them, from a distance appearing like a vast fog rising on a rainy night. Brothers! He Xianliang, in the center of the formation, raised his spear high, his voice shaking the rain on his face. The commander just granted us the formation. We are the real divine weapons descending. As said in the heavenly book, this battle is our destined victory for the commander to stabilize the heavens and earth. The troops ahead are nothing but remnants and defeated soldiers of the reserve camp, like rats scurrying through the state of Ming. Leading them Chan Sansi, merely 1,000 captain. I could take him down under my horse with just a snap of my fingers. So brothers, charge freely. Ahead for an ounce of gold. Kill, kill, kill. Boom, boom, boom. The enemy's momentum was equally enormous. Heavenly Book. Chan Sansi, looking at the white Xian Qi above their heads, gripped the 5 tigers' soul-breaking spear firmly in his hands with a determined gaze. He really wanted to see what treasure granted by the immortal, because it was bestowed to the Red Eyebrow Army. the scourge that slaughters towns and people. If it is true, then this immortal should also be killed. Kill! No more strategies. The reserve camp soldiers also arrayed into formation, charging with the one-line-long snake formation, transitioning into the heaven and earth triadic formation, followed by the four gates capture formation to surround and attack, then assisted by the five tigers herding sheep formation, until at last, the more than 2,000 men gradually fused into one, forming the 9 characters chain formation, ultimately transforming into the ambush from all sides formation. This is the 10 formations of the military family. In contrast, the Red Eyebrow Army's formation was more complex. Under the mist-like Xian Qi and leveraging the power of heaven and earth, they unleashed combat power far beyond their normal capacity. So much so that in the initial rounds of charges, both sides suffered equally. The young elites of the reserve camp gained no advantage. Chen Sansi, using the Qi observation skill among the waterfall-like rains, sought his target, and finally found their main general at the core of the enemy's formation, his aura foundation far stronger than Jiao Lao Si, estimated to be around the realms of Minor Meridian Passage. Yet another tricky problem. This was why after Yusong appeared at Luotian Pass, the enemy firmly believed that the reserve camp was truly attacking Luotian Pass with all their strength, thus lowering their guard as an essential reason. They had no senior generals left. Without the combat prowess of a Meridian Passage realm such as Yusong, their threat was greatly diminished. Even if they truly appeared outside Meishan Prefecture, they still had to face a high-level general of Minor Meridian Passage. Chen Sansi quickly assessed the current situation in his mind. Beyond the suppression of realms, there was another key point. He noticed that all the White Xian Qi originated from this enemy general. Just kill him. The Heavenly Book enhancement would naturally collapse. Lu Shuhua, Xiesi Shu, one on each side. Cover me. Chen Sansi gave the order, then spurred his horse forward with his spear in hand. Yes. Lu Shuhua and the others acted as commanded, closely following his side, blocking attacks from all directions. Clang! The sound of weapons clashing and the thunder in the sky exploded simultaneously, the formidable impact scattering a burst of water in the air. Under the terrifying impact, Chen Sansi's Vajra body, fueled by the racing blood of the Jiao Long, began to vibrate. His man and horse reared up high, like a painting under the brilliance of the lightning. After all, it was a mastery of Meridian Passage. If not for the extraordinary white swan horse, his horse might not have withstood this strike. Minor Hua Jin? Xianliang showed a look of astonishment. The intelligence was clear, it only marked him as refining internal organs perfection at the end of the selected point, before dispatching to Ming State, at most at the entry level of Hua Jin. Just half a year and he's achieved Minor Hua Jin? What a speed! Fortunately, it was still Minor Hua Jin. He was at mastery of Meridian Passage. Between them, spanning 3 realms. After a single exchange, the 2 warhorses sprinted past each other, then immediately turned, initiating a second clash, long spear and long spear continually colliding, like 2 Jiao Long wrestling, both aiming to use this rainstorm to ascend into dragons. The prerequisite, however, was swallowing the other to empower themselves. The most distinctive aspect of the Meridian Passage realm was the formal use of the meridians. Flesh, Qi blood, and power, all maximized to the extreme, laying the groundwork for the next phase, the profound image realm. Chapter 245. Set the overall situation. Obtain the Heavenly Book _2. Just like the difference between blood refining and refining internal, the gap cannot be said to be small. These were indeed 3 distinct realms. Moreover, Xianliang was a true sect genius with a solid foundation, not some ordinary bandit with a superficial cultivation. Every time Chen Sansi crossed blows, he had to endure severe pain. Fortunately, with the storage power and mystical yuan in his organs, he was able to hold on. However, as time passed, the mystical energy boost on the bodies of the Red Eyebrow Army became increasingly apparent. The formation used by the enemy troops subtly matched the thunderstorm, possessing an indescribable magic. Even though the formation of the reserve camp was also practiced day and night, it gradually fell into disadvantage, then continued to widen the gap, and the number of casualties began to increase. The direct subordinates Chen Sansi brought from Piyang County, relying on their understanding, were doing fine, but the others under them were not so lucky. If this continued, their array soldiers would soon all be sacrificed, and the situation would then transform into the enemy's formation encircling and attacking our military officers one by one. With the addition of mystical energy, how long Lu Shuhua and the others could hold on was hard to say. The increase in casualties could not continue. Enough people had died in this battle. Clang! Chen Sansi's long spear was once again knocked aside by a forceful blow. He did not counterattack, but instead took the opportunity to gallop away dragging his spear, and after continuously stabbing several intercepting Red Eyebrow rebel army soldiers, he dashed into the curtain of rain. "Don't run!" Xianliang chased after him without any hesitation. When the distance between the two sides had closed to a certain extent, the Five Tigers' soul-breaking spear suddenly counterattacked. Backward charge. A mere trick. Xianliang, already prepared, almost instantly blocked the long spear with his own spear, then flicked the long spear into the air, adjusting his position at a bizarre angle, and thrust directly towards the enemy general's heart. Crack! At that moment, a terrifying thunder resembling a spider web streaked across the dome above. Using the light from the electricity, Xianliang saw that the enemy general, having lost his weapon and caught in an inevitable deadly situation, was not panicked at all. Instead, he looked at him calmly as though he had been prepared for the backward charge and had anticipated it being blocked. Then why did he still use this move? In his rapidly dilating pupils, the following scene reflected. This young general, who had played rounds with a 300,000-strong army in Ming State using just 3,000 soldiers, at this critical moment of life and death, didn't think about how to dodge to save himself but was forming hand seals, looking like some mindless Taoist. Immediately afterwards, Xianliang witnessed a phantom image gathering on the opponent's fingertips, which looked like a small sword, only it was very tiny, almost like a sewing needle. What was this? Rumble! After the flash of lightning, a thunderous sound erupted, and the phantom in the young general's hand vanished. Xianliang only felt a chill in his forehead, and then he could no longer see this world clearly. He fell straight from his horse into the mud, a trickle of blood emerging from his forehead and quickly being washed clean by the rain, blending into the mud. All of this happened in an instant. Chen Sansi reached out and caught the Five Tigers' soul-breaking spear previously flicked into the air, stabbed it down into the corpse's skull, creating a huge bloody hole to cover up the wound from the sword chi skill. The reason he had lured his opponent here was not to use the backward charge for a sneak attack. When the gap in realms was too large, small tricks were useless. It was solely to keep away from the main battlefield, to prevent others from discovering his use of spell. Xianliang is dead. You rebels, quickly surrender. Under the enhancement of chi blood, Chen Sansi's roar at times overwhelmed the thunder, deafening. He could see, after Xianliang's death, the mist hovering over the Red Eyebrow army dispersed at a rapid pace, vanishing in a few breaths' time. The enemy soldiers, looking at the skull under the intermittently illuminated head with its terrifying visage, lost all their will to fight. One after another they turned and ran, and the previously exquisite formation naturally completely collapsed. The tide of the battle shifted in an instant, turning into a one-sided massacre. In Maishan Prefecture City, Commander! A member of the Red Eyebrow army stumbled in, covered in blood, and knelt on the ground, sobbing, "It's over! It's all over! General, he was decapitated by that Chen Sansi. Our brothers are mostly dead. The remaining people from the reserve camp are heading straight for the city. They will arrive in no more than half a day." So soon? Liang Jinian seemed as if he had been drained of strength, collapsing into a chair. Chen Sansi is only at Huajin. How could he kill Xianliang in such a short time, let alone, I even bestowed them with spell. It was a matter of life and death, he held nothing back. In this last battle, almost all the remaining immortal items were used up. We don't know either, Commander. Several Red Eyebrow army soldiers who had fled earlier returned and knelt in a row. That Chen Sansi isn't human at all. Once he starts fighting, he disregards everything and charges straight at General He, like a madman. Commander! What do we do, Commander? Enough noise. Liang Jinian was overwhelmed. How long until reinforcements get here at the fastest? Commander, it will take at least 15 days at the earliest. You, first pack up the belongings. Take the lady and some gold and silver coin, and then wait here for me. Liang Jinian unsteadily left the mansion, mounted a fast horse, and went straight to a nearby grove, kneeling down and imploring to the sky. Immortal, save me. Chapter 246. Settling the grand scheme, obtaining the heavenly book _3. Immortal, it is Liang Jinian who is incompetent. I have lost this battle and failed the treasure bestowed by the immortal. I beg of you, immortal, to lend me your aid once again. Grant me another chance, an opportunity to make a comeback. I cannot accept this. I cannot accept this. Why should these dog officials strut around while we live so meekly? Why should they look down on me? I want revenge. I want to kill all the scholars. Immortal, help me. Immortal. However, no matter how much he shouted, he received no response. Liang Jinian forced a bitter smile and gave a resounding kowtow. It seems that the immortal has lost faith in me. I take my leave. Back at the residence. The belongings were all packed. In total, there were 7 or 8 members of the Red Eyebrow Army, plus a woman and an old man in his 70s. However, as the Red Eyebrows gazed upon the gold, silver, and the beautiful lady, their eyes began to shift restlessly. What are you standing there for? Liang Jinian ordered. Hurry up and leave. There might still be a sliver of hope. Commander, it's over. One of the Red Eyebrows with a beard said. Even if we don't understand military tactics, we know that what comes next is almost certainly death, unless we abandon the burdens. Yes, Commander. Another chimed in. Or perhaps, Commander could use a more powerful immortal law. Exactly. The others agreed. Otherwise, they're coming for you, and no matter where you go, you can't escape. You! Liang Jinian clenched his fist beneath his wide sleeves, but eventually suppressed the surge of anger and adopted a calm demeanor, speaking lightly. No need for immortal law. I have just consulted the heavenly book and once again received guidance from the immortal. The immortal told me to exit through the South City Gate and head towards May Mountain. There, an immortal will surely protect us. Really? The Red Eyebrows looked at each other, half believing, half doubting. Can the commander still meet with the immortal? You impudent fools! How dare you? Liang Jinian narrowed his eyes. You dare to doubt me? Cut him down. This. The Red Eyebrows hesitated, but seeing the scholar's confidence, they dared not defy him. In the end, quite suddenly, one of them stabbed the man who had expressed doubt to death. Commander! They knelt down again. Just give the order. We will escort you and the lady out of the city. Liang Jinian commanded. You go ahead and bring the horses, only the black ones. Today, only by riding black horses can we meet the immortal. Hurry. Yes. The Red Eyebrows scattered. Inside the hall, only the woman, the old man, and he remained. Uncle Wu. Liang Jinian stuffed all the gold and silver into their hands. You're the only one I can trust. You must take Pei 1 to West Qi. Prime Minister Zhang there will see to your well-being. Liang. This is after a defeat, no matter. Don't be sad. Housekeeper Wu asked, somewhat confused. What's going on? Can't we leave together? Indeed, husband. Gao Peiwen gently took the scholar's hand. Aren't you going with me?
No.
Liang Jinian struggled to speak. The dashing soldiers are after me, the commander of the Red Eyebrows. As long as I am present, you will never escape. Only by separating from me do you stand a chance to live. Nian Lang. Gao Peiwen cried like a pear blossom battered by the rain, throwing herself into the scholar's arms. Uncle Wu, I entrust you with this task. Liang Jinian, having reassured her, forcibly pushed her away. If it hadn't been for you, sir, Sneaking food and books to me from your residence back then. I probably wouldn't recognize a single character. I shall repay your kindness in my next life. As he spoke, he gave a deep bow and then resolutely turned and left. Liang, don't worry. Even if it costs me this old life, I will ensure your wife is safely escorted to West Chi. Husband. Bang! Housekeeper Wu knocked him out from behind with a stick, then called over 2 maids to join him as they left in a horse-drawn carriage through the back door. Quickly, go! Liang Jinian arrived at the front gate where several Red Eyebrow army soldiers indeed had gathered 7 black horses. They all mounted and headed straight for the East City Gate, but after escaping for 20 li, a white horse leading over 1,000 men surrounded them, sealing off every direction completely. Commander, you! Liang, you deceived us. At that moment, several Red Eyebrow army soldiers realized the truth. Liang Jinian wasn't leading them to escape or to meet any immortal. He was purely leading them to their deaths, all to buy his family back home time to escape. Ha 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 ha! Liang Jinian laughed maniacally. That's right, you bandits. What is your death to me? You bastard! I'll kill you. Don't kill him. Trade his life for ours. Bang! A Red Eyebrow army soldier with a whiskered beard kicked out. Liang Jinian was sent flying, tumbling over a dozen times before coming to a stop, coughing up blood continuously. Damn it! The Red Eyebrow army hastily mounted their horses, pressed down on him fiercely, and then knelt on the ground before the dashing soldiers. Mercy, my lord! We're all common folk, forced into joining the Red Eyebrow army. Right, we had no intention of rebelling. We are willing to offset our crimes with our merits. This man is Liang Jinian from Mei Mountain, the commander of the Red Eyebrow army. We present him to you, my lord. Where's the heavenly book? Strip search him. The Red Eyebrow army roughly searched him and finally found several golden yellow booklets, looking as though they were made from gold, hammered and forged into thin sheets of paper. This is the heavenly book. We offer it to Dashing as well. We beg only for our lives to be spared. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The words had barely ended. Chapter 247. Settling the Grand Scheme, Obtaining the Heavenly Book _4. The Shang Dynasty general astride the white horse offered no idle words. With the bowstring of his big bow twanging like thunder, one arrow after another followed in procession, piercing their hearts with deadly precision. 7 men lay dead in the blink of an eye. Ha! Chun Sansi reined in his horse, looking down upon the scholar and asked calmly, Are you Liang Jinian? It's me, Liang Jinian, wiping the blood off his chin with a mud-caked sleeve, looked up and said, Are you Chun Sansi? Brother Chun, you and I have no grudges. Why resort to this? Chun Sansi remained silent. Brother Chun. Struggling to his feet, Liang Jinian continued, Dashing is corrupt. Its fate has run out. Why sacrifice your life for the Chow family? With your talents and vision, why not join me in pursuit of great ambitions? The land might bear the name Chun one day. He got no response. Liang Jinian picked up a golden booklet and persisted, Brother Chun, have you seen this? It's the heavenly book, a gift from the immortal to me. If you kill me, the heavenly book is to be presented to the court, and you will gain nothing. But if you work with me, I can share the treasure with you. There was a deadly silence. He finally understood. He had indeed reached the end of the road. Fine then, go ahead. Liang Jinian closed his eyes. Yet the expected death did not come. Opening his eyes, he demanded, Chun, what are you waiting for? Do you intend to humiliate me? Chun Sansi simply watched the southern sky, ignoring him. At last, a troop of cavalry approached from that direction. A woman and an old man were being brought over. Sir, Zhao Kong saluted and said, We've caught his family, killed 2 maidservants, and these are the only 2 left. My wife. Oh! Damn you, Chin. I'll kill you. Liang Jinian picked up a war blade off the ground, ready to risk it all. Kneel. Zhao Kong delivered a kick, snapping his right leg and leaving him writhing in the mud, a muddy mess. Ah! He struggled to crawl forward, his tone shifting from anger to pleading. Chan Sansi, Mr. Chan, I beg of you, my wife is innocent. She had nothing to do with the rebellion. Do not bring calamity upon my family. Please, release her. You may execute me even by Ling Qi if it pleases you. Do not bring calamity upon the family? Chen Sansi finally spoke. He leaned forward ever so slightly, enunciating each word. Liang Jinian, do you realize how many towns your men have slaughtered along the way? You have a family, don't their families matter too? Liang Jinian was taken aback, speechless. Say your proper goodbyes to your woman. Chun Sansi spoke gravely. Otherwise, she'll be taken away. From then on, whatever the wardens do, I cannot control. Liang Jinian screamed in agony, clutching his head. Jinian, I don't blame you. Gao Peiwen picked up a blade from the ground. Before the scholar could react, she ended her own life. Following her lead was housekeeper Wu. Do it, Chun Sansi ordered indifferently. Clack! The He Miao blade flashed, and Liang Jinian's head hit the ground. Only then did Chun Sansi dismount. General Chun, weren't we supposed to capture him alive? Lu Shuhua asked, baffled. The merit of capturing him alive is greater than that of killing him. We've got pursuers behind us. It's inconvenient to travel with a captive. We're not truly out of danger yet. It will take some time, Chan Sansi explained calmly. With his head and the heavenly book, we can sufficiently crush the morale of all rebel armies. There's no need for excess baggage. Makes sense. No one objected. Chun Sansi stepped forward and picked up the heavenly book. The feel of it in his hands was just like gold foil. He glanced at the others. If you want to see it, come here. Thank you, Brother Chen. Yan Chongqing was the first to lean in closer. Lu Shuhua and Xie Sishu also came nearer after getting permission. Bai Thingji, however, showed no interest and went to check the bodies to see if there were any survivors. Sir, the characters in this book don't seem to belong to our central plains, nor do they resemble those of the surrounding 4 nations. Indeed, it must be written by an immortal. Chun Sansi gently turned the pages of the booklet. He recognized that the flowing golden script was the same as the one his 4th senior brother had translated into the dictionary, which contained the sword chi skill, and although it was unintelligible to others, Chun Sansi could understand it. Contained indeed some formations. Not only military formations. There were also some genuine magic arrays. But those arrays required various immortal magic tools to construct. The other human-assembled formations included large-scale military formations and smaller ones. The smaller formations had a mix of everything from sword arrays, magic arrays, demon suppression arrays, evil extermination formation, and so on. He could understand every rune, but putting them all together was another story. These things required the collaboration of immortal cultivators to be effective. For ordinary people, they were utterly useless. The same was true for the large-scale military formations. Indeed, formations could harness the power of heaven and earth, but the prerequisite was that the user of the formation needed cultivation as a foundation. Martial arts practitioners wouldn't suffice, and common array soldiers were even less capable. So how did the Red Eyebrow Army manage it? Energy. That white, smoke-like mystical energy which could partially substitute for cultivation to form an array. However, there was no mention of this energy in the heavenly book. Mr. Yen, would you have any issue keeping the heavenly book safe? After having looked through it once, Chun Sansi, with his photographic memory, engraved everything he could and could not understand deep into his mind. The heavenly book itself had no particular use. Holding on to it would not only be pointless for him, but might also incur the court's suspicion without cause. Chapter 248. Settling the Grand Scheme, Obtaining the Heavenly Book _5. Moreover, just after Liang Jinian had died, the term, sinking formation death will, still remained on the others, including Lu Shuhua and Xie Sishu. These two who had initially been strongly dissatisfied with him, still willing to charge into battle. Instead, starting from Liangzhou, the two who seemed to be on good terms on the surface, and who had still somewhat supported him in Ming State, had the term disappear from them. He, after all, was a person sent by the court, the grandson of the chief minister. He represented the court, the interests of the emperor. After the great battle ended, the two were no longer comrades. Isn't that inappropriate? Yan Chongqing declined. I haven't reached Huajin. This matter is of great importance. It would be best for Brother Chan to keep it. All right, Chun Sansi said to everyone. Then I ask you brothers to bear witness. I will take charge of the item for now, and immediately hand it over to the court after the battle ends. General Chun, what do we do next? Lu Shuhua and Xie Sishu, one on each side, drew up the map in front of the general. Wait! Chun Sansi pointed at the location of Luotian Pass. The troops at this place might not yet be aware of the situation in Maishan Prefecture. Let's wait another 10 days to half a month. By then the imperial army from the court should also be about to cross the great wilderness and attack Luotian Pass. What we need to do next is to wait and coordinate a pincer attack with the capital, seize Luotian Pass, and then use it as a foundation to stabilize our footing in the southern region of Ming State, and, in coordination with other generals like Lu and Rong, gradually devour the rest of the rebel army and the troops of West Qi Kingdom. In these next few days, everyone can rest well in Maishan Prefecture. Remember our rules. Don't disturb or oppress the civilians. Otherwise, I will kill anyone I see. Yes, sir. The army slowly entered the city. Chun Sansi had long since run out of spiritual rice medicine ointment, and by the end Qian Sun hadn't even gotten a taste. He only had the treasure medicine given by the court left. After taking it, he continued his cultivation without a moment's rest. Cultivation technique. National Guardian Dragon Spear. Hua Jin. Small achievement. Progress. 566/2000. Until midnight. He did not ride a horse. He sneaked into the darkness on foot, confirming with the Qi observation skill that nobody was following him. And after leaving the city gate, he went dozens of miles outside the east city gate to a wilderness filled with piles of bodies. Chun Sansi found Liang Jinian's headless body, took out the Jinhua sword, and cut open the stomach, searching for something inside. The reason he had killed Liang Jinian was not just because it was troublesome to keep a living person around, but also for other reasons. The surname Liang had hidden something. He hadn't told the truth. Heavenly Book was Heavenly Book, White Shenqi was Shenqi, the two supplemented each other, but they were actually two different things, two different items. Since meeting Liang Jinian, Chun Sansi had noticed the qi within him, guessing that if it wasn't for cultivation on his person, it was some treasure hidden within him. If the former, naturally there was nothing to be done, but if the latter, then it could be taken out. Indeed, before long, he fished out something round and icy to the touch from within the flesh. Taking it out, he found it was a bead similar to a crystal ball, but its surface flowed with intricate runes. A mist-like aura was contained within it. Only the qi inside the bead was already very weak. So weak it was nearly completely dissipated. This is it. Chun Sansi could be certain. Liang Jinian had only used the so-called Heavenly Book on troop formations to practice formation techniques. The truly powerful item was actually this bead. Only with the qi born within it could it exert part of the power of the surprise army formation. Now, it seems the Heavenly Book was likely fabricated by scholars, intended to deceive and thus protect the true treasure, the bead. Without the bead, even if others obtained the Heavenly Book, they couldn't understand it, and even if they could, it was useless. Over time, they would naturally think that Liang Jinian was the real chosen one, exceptional and unique. Only he could control the Heavenly Book, and thus they would submit. It's indeed a clever scheme. Don't know how to use the bead and how to accumulate the qi inside? When the Red Eyebrow Army initially started the war, they were said to be like heavenly soldiers, but then they grew weaker and weaker, surely because the qi inside the bead was used up. Then why didn't Liang Jinian accumulate qi? Seems he also had no good solution. Maybe even he hadn't figured out the purpose of the thing. Anyway, I'll put it away first. Chun Sansi found a muddy pit, used the accumulated water inside to wash the blood off the bead's surface. then tucked it into his chest. No matter where the item came from, what use it had, how to use it, in any case it was his now. Did they really think he would work for the old emperor for free? Looking around, ensuring no one was there, Chun Sansi chose a minor road to return to the city. Chapter 249. Set the stage, obtain the heavenly book _6. Have you made contact with those 2 deputy generals under Dong En's command? Lu Ji tapped his fingers on the desk. Tell them, this rebellion has nothing to do with them. It's all Dong En's responsibility. As long as they can abandon the dark and turn to the light, the court will not only refrain from pursuing their liabilities, but will also promote them and reward them with resources. I've tried this before, Nye Yuan said helplessly, but those people are Dong En's loyalists. Over the years, most of the court's resources have gone to the northwest 3 states, leaving the military officers of Ming State lacking in resources and harboring grievances. Their resolve to rebel is firm. Otherwise, the chaos in Ming State wouldn't have arisen. Getting them to turn their coats again is impossible, unless Dong En dies violently. Otherwise, this war will last at least another year. I know, but we must try again. Even if just one of them is willing to turn, it would be of great help. Lu Ji mused. What about other movements? Zhao Wuji's remnants had only a few dozen people left last time they sent a message. Now, we don't know whether they are dead or alive. Nye Yuan remarked. There's also our little junior brother, probably. Cheap. Before he could finish, a high Dongqing flew into the tent and landed on the commander's sturdy arm. Isn't that the 1/9 junior sister gave to our little junior brother? Nye Yuan said incredulously. After so long, he's still alive? It's hard to imagine. Boss, take a look. Let's see where they have hidden themselves this time. Lu Ji took the message from the high Dongqing's leg, opened it, and after reading it, the battle-hardened man known for his unparalleled bravery was struck as if by lightning, unable to regain his composure for a long while. Boss? Nye Yuan asked puzzledly. What happened? Did our little junior brother devise some incredible strategy that played the enemy army for fools? Playing them for fools? It's more than that. Lu Ji, with an expression that was no longer just astonishment but a mix of excitement, shock, worry, and even a trace of displeasure, all blending into a look beyond description, said with a slightly trembling voice. Our little junior brother not only survived the ordeal at the Great Pass but, after crossing the Hengze River 4 times, stormed the Wushui River and headed straight for Maishan Prefecture. He executed Liang Jinian and seized the Miracle Soldier's heavenly book. The situation in the south is settled. What did you say? Nye Yuan snatched the message, scrutinizing it word by word repeatedly. West Qi Kingdom's military camp. At almost the same time, Marshal St. Zhong Wuxin received a message near Maishan Prefecture. He simply couldn't believe the content. Liang Jinian is dead? Who confirmed it? Even if they headed straight for Maishan Prefecture, there was only Chun Sansi left, a mere Hua Jin cultivator. Didn't Liang Jinian still hold the heavenly book? How could he die so easily? Absurd. Is this message real or fake? Commander, it's true. 10 days ago, the Great Pass received a distress letter from Liang Jinian, then no further messages. The scouts sent to the area around the Wushui River confirmed that Chun Sansi and his forces fought and decisively defeated the last of Maishan Prefecture's forces near Linhe County. Now, Liang Jinian's head hangs on the walls of Maishan Prefecture City for public display. There's also a slogan, Qi Mei has no virtue, heavenly soldiers are here to settle, that has almost spread across the north and south banks of the Wushui River, known to all the common people. So, it must be true. Zhong Wuxin's heart thundered, yet his face was as calm as a lake, his voice coldly saying, Who would have thought? My Qi strategized for 5 years, supposedly a guaranteed victory, would be ruined by a mere 1,000 captain of the Shang dynasty, a disgrace so profound. Commander, what shall we do? Don't panic. Zhong Wuxin calmly said, We still have a foundation in Ming State. We just need to abandon the south and east soon. Immediately dispatch orders to Dong En, commanding him to lead his troops to retreat westward swiftly. We will concentrate all our military forces on the western front of Ming State and endure a prolonged war with Shang Dynasty, able to attack Ming State, aiming for Liangzhou and Yan State, or retreat behind the Great Wall to the west. This war is not unwinnable. It's just that we must be prepared to pay a grievous price. Moreover, Dong An's 80,000 troops from Ming State must be preserved. Without these 80,000 troops, there is really no need to continue this battle. I heard that this guy has been utterly dispirited since Chun Sansi crossed the river for the 4th time. We must stabilize him. Yes, I will go and convey the orders to Dong An. Yangchun Prefecture, Rebel Army Camp. For half a month, Dong An had barely left his bed, causing panic among the troops who didn't know what had happened. Report. A soldier entered the tent, knelt on one knee, opened his mouth, then hesitated and did not dare to speak. It's intelligence from Maishan Prefecture, isn't it? Dong An propped himself up to sit. Read it. Yes. The soldier then read out the situation in detail, finally saying, Liang Jinian's head hangs on the city wall, and the miracle soldier's heavenly book most likely has also fallen into Chun Sansi's hands. He still remembered how horrible the death of the soldier who had reported after letting the enemy escape following the previous major battle had been. As he spoke, he was sweating profusely, constantly swallowing saliva. Unexpectedly, after hearing the report, Dong An was unusually calm to the point of resembling a dead pool of water. He just took the intelligence in his hand and said in a hoarse, weak voice, I understand, you may leave. Report. General Zhong Wuxin has sent a letter, saying he hopes the commander will lead us to retreat west immediately. You may leave as well. This. The two soldiers looked at each other and had no choice but to withdraw temporarily. Hee. Dong An looked at the letter in his hand, revealing a miserable smile that contained despair as well as resignation. He gently released the paper, letting it slowly drift down, then stood up and walked toward the general's sword hanging behind the commander's seat. What has happened to the commander? It must be that he's unable to get over the fact that a young newbie defeated him. Our commander is good in every way, just a bit obstinate. Go and persuade him. At this critical moment, who dares to go? But the West Qi Kingdom has ordered us to retreat west immediately. If we don't leave now, it will be too late. I'll go. In the end, it was a deputy general who mustered the courage to enter the tent. Commander! Then there was a startled shout. The crowds rushed into the tent. They saw Dong An, dressed in his undergarment, with disheveled hair sitting in the main seat, his head drooping lifelessly as he leaned on the general's sword, blood continuously dripping from his neck, pooling into a puddle of blood beneath his feet. Dong An had committed suicide. Chapter 250. Terrifying the World. Maishan Prefecture. Cultivation Technique. National Guardian Dragon Spear. Hua Jin. Small Achievement. Progress. 855/2000. Atop the city wall, Chun Sansi put down his long spear. After the spiritual rice medicine ointment was used up, the pace of his cultivation slowed down significantly. It had been a full 10 days since the execution of the rebel Liang Jinian to the present. Chirp! Chun Sansi finally received a response from Hai Dongqing. This time it flew back from the southeast, outside the great wilderness. It was a reply from the capital city army. Opening the intelligence report, Chun Sansi learned that the army was led by Marshal St. Jiang Yuanbua, and they would arrive at the Great Wall within 10 more days at most. Setting off from Maishan Prefecture now would be just right. As long as they could join up with the main force, it would be equivalent to victory. Pass down my command. Move out. Sword Gate Canyon. West Qi Kingdom's military camp. Leave 10,000 troops to cover the rear in the canyon. The rest, retreat silently. Zhong Wuxin commanded his soldiers in the darkness. Within 15 days, you must return to the northwest. Report. A soldier hurried back on a galloping horse, nearly tumbling off it. What's the matter? Zhong Wuxin asked hastily, Has Dong's troops retreated? Commander, it's bad. The soldier said in a panic. Dong and he committed suicide.
Suicide?
Are you joking with me? Zhong Wuxin could scarcely believe his ears and suspected he was hallucinating due to lack of rest. He grabbed the other party and demanded, "What's the reason?" "I don't know," the soldier replied. The people from the Mingzhou army said that Dong committed suicide shortly after seeing the death notice of Liang Jinian, without saying another word to them. Fool. Dong is truly a fool. Even though Zhong Wuxin had deep schemes, upon receiving this news, he couldn't help but lose his composure and cursed. His death ruins the grand revival of our great Qi. After a moment of thought, he understood why Dong chose to take his own life. Firstly, the shock of losing to a young person around 17 or 18 was too great. Dong was famously obsessed with military strategies. Since the age of 10, he had studied warfare and later considered Fang Qingyun to be his greatest nemesis in life. As such, he set winning against Fang Qingyun in military tactics as his biggest goal, which was also an important reason why he allied with West Qi. But as a result, before he could even defeat Fang Qingyun, another even more formidable Chun Sansi appeared. And the tactics used in the 4 crossings of the Hongze River were probably beyond what even Fang Qingyun could conceive. It was genius. No, it should be said that no one in the entire world could. There was not a single person capable of achieving such a feat. Going over the campaign again on the map made it clear just how terrifying it was. That was the true art of warfare, the true tactics. Chun Sansi didn't just command his own men, he directly commanded the enemy. It was terrifying. Even now, Zhong Wuxin still felt a deep reverence for that young man whose face he hadn't yet seen, whom he only knew by name. If that person lived, he could surpass Ji, even Sun Xiangzong. It wasn't impossible. This battle, if it had been concocted by a storyteller, that storyteller would surely be cursed to death, pelted with rotten eggs and spoiled vegetables for fabricating lies. But by some fluke, the 4 crossings of the Hongze were real. After this battle, the young man's name would surely echo throughout the land. From then on, known by all, recognized by all. How could Dong endure such a tremendous blow? Secondly, of course, it was about the heavenly book. Unlike Liang Jinian's rebellion for power, Dong rebelled purely for the heavenly book. Now that the heavenly book was in Chun Sansi's hands, he would never be able to obtain it again. For Dong this battle naturally lost all its meaning. With such a double blow, how could he not take his own life? But his life was of little consequence, yet it brought about disaster for the entire Qi. Damn it! Zhong Wuxin kept repeating the curse. If I had known earlier, who would have needed to employ the catching turtles in a jar strategy? Originally, the plan was for the armies of Great Qi to march directly into Ming state territory and engage the troops of the Great Shang dynasty head-on. Liang Jinian and Dong had proposed the strategy together, claiming they had a way to first consume 4,000 troops of the Great Shang dynasty along with a bunch of innate martial saints, seize the momentum, and then take advantage of Sun Xiangzong's absence to swiftly defeat Liangzhou and the Great Shang. But in the end, it wasn't about catching turtles, but reaping the whirlwind, basically shooting themselves in the foot. If they had known this would happen, they could have fought a direct battle. Even if it came at a greater cost, they still had a 50% chance of winning. Now, there was no chance at all. Commander, I haven't finished what I was saying. The soldier continued. Dong's Deputy General Li Tiancheng and others seem to be converging towards us. They say that after losing their commander, they are unsure of what to do and hope to merge with us before making any further plans. No good. Zhong Wuxin immediately realized. They are not coming to join forces. They have betrayed us to encircle us with Ji. Hurry. Retreat. Don't leave a single man behind. The whole army withdraws overnight. Head straight back west of the Great Wall. Doesn't that mean? A few deputy generals who had been listening by his side asked, We're not fighting anymore? What's there to fight for? Zhong Wuxin snapped angrily. With Dong alive, there was still a chance. But with his and Liang Jinian's deaths, our momentum is completely lost. Continuing the fight is certain defeat. Even being slow to retreat won't do. Quick! Retreat! Xuanwu Camp's military camp. Boss! Good news! Great news! Nie Yuan burst into the tent with excitement, holding a sealed letter in his hand. Sansi, why are you becoming more impulsive? Just as Ji was putting on his armor and picking up his mighty heavenly halberd, he said, "How good can the news be? Dong is dead or something?" Chapter 251 Thunderous Prestige _2. Right, Dong is dead. Nie Yuan slapped the secret missive onto the table. Li Tiancheng and others have written, claiming they have agreed to credit their achievements to us, and are now advancing at full speed towards Sword Gate Canyon, preparing for a pincer attack with us to devour West Qi Kingdom in one fell swoop. Is that so? Lu Ji asked anxiously. How did Dong die? Did Li Tiancheng and others conspire to assassinate him?
No.
Nie Yuan spoke deliberately, pausing with each word. He was angered to death by our junior brother. Lu Ji fell silent. From this moment, he knew. Another kind of person would emerge within the 8 camps. Report. Lu Shuai. Scouts report. Half a day ago, the main force of Zhong Wuxin's army began to retreat from Sword Gate Canyon. Then what are we waiting for? Chase them. Lu Ji didn't let the huge turn of events cloud his judgment. 3,000 Shenzhen army? Follow me in charging forward to pursue. The rest divide into left and right behind, to prevent Li Tiancheng and the others from feigning surrender. Beat the drums, march. Outside Yangchun Prefecture, in the wilderness. After Sha Wenlong barehandedly killed more than 30 riders pursuing them, he continued to flee with Chao Fan. It was at this moment that Hai Dongqing returned with intelligence from Sword Gate Canyon. General Lu says Sword Gate Canyon has fallen. Tells us to just keep moving forward. General Lu is indeed formidable. Chao Fan sighed. Sword Gate Canyon is easy to defend and hard to attack, yet he was able to in such a short time. But Sha Wenlong's expression changed uncertainly. It wasn't General Lu who took it down, but West Qi Kingdom voluntarily retreated because after Chen Sansi crossed the Hongze River for the 4th time, he went straight to Maishan Prefecture to execute the Liang traitor, then angering Dong and to death. What did you say? Hearing this, Chao Fan's wounds seemed to heal instantly, and he leapt up from the ground. General Sha, are you sure you haven't got it wrong? This isn't false information from the enemy? Princely heir, this is indeed true. Sha Wenlong sighed deeply. See for yourself. How did he do it? Chao Fan's hands trembled uncontrollably, his eyes nearly popping out as he spoke incoherently. The achievements after the 4th crossing directly caused the entire West Qi army to retreat, meaning this Ming state campaign has been subdued by Chen Sansi leading merely 3,000 men. One man settles one state. This is not just first merit, it's heavenly merit. It's among the top 10 heavenly merits in the over 300 years of the great Shang dynasty. Princely heir, Sha Wenlong, seeing that the other party was about to collapse, hurriedly stepped forward to support him. Princely heir, General Sha, I can't compete with him anymore. Chao Fan had to admit, not just me, from now on, no one in the younger generation can compete with him. A towering tree invites the wind, which is not necessarily a good thing. He will have to face even more troubles in the future. Sha Wenlong persuaded. Moreover, the princely heir, there will still be opportunities in the future. Once we return, after resting and regrouping for a year or so, we will campaign across the grassland to suppress the barbarian tribes. The merit from such a campaign is much greater than that from quelling this rebellion. General Sha, with gritted teeth, Chao Fan said, tell me why Yu Song would disobey orders? If he hadn't, the result would have been all of the Chun men dying on the way to attack Yangchun Prefecture. You and I leading over 1,000 cavalry to break through and attack the enemy from behind at Sword Gate Canyon, in coordination with General Lu, would have scored us a major victory. This heavenly merit, it should have been ours. It was meant to be ours. The princely heir is right. How dare an assistant general disobey orders? Clenching his fist so tightly it cracked, Sha Wenlong said, Once we return, I will personally list his crimes clearly. If all generals were to act as he did, I think we might as well not have fought this war at all. Everything would have been thrown into chaos. Luo Tianpas. Liang Jinian is dead. You rebels, surrender quickly, or face the eradication of your entire family, leaving not one alive. Chun Sansi's forces were reduced to barely 1,500 men, and wherever they went, all would surrender at the mere whiff of their presence. Not until they joined forces with the capital city guard army did they completely secure Luo Tianpas and stabilize the situation in the south. At the same time, they also received news of Dong and taking his own life. This man was really one for splitting hairs. Chun Sansi knew. With Dong's death, it meant the war had ended. General Chun, Lu Shuhua and the others were ecstatic. You have led us to achieve such heavenly merit. Indeed, Xie Shu continued. And not just merit. We have learned a lot by following you this time. More than that, Yan Chongqing said admiringly. When I return, I'm going to thoroughly review the entire sequence of the Ming State Rebellion campaign on a map, then document it. I believe it won't be long before everyone in the military family treats it like a treasured resource. General Chun, Marshal Jiang and his men brought some fine wine. We shall drink to our fill tonight. Let's go, let's go. While the group was cheering and celebrating, Chun Sansi silently left, rode Qian Sun in search of something near Luo Tianpas, and eventually found over 30 bodies in a valley dozens of miles away. There were many wild wolves nearby. Many of the bodies were gnawed beyond recognition. Through the painstaking identification of a water bag that was once used to carry drunk Saint, he recognized the decomposed and headless body of Yusong. Qian Sun. Chun Sansi patted the horse's head. Go. Call Zhao Kong and the others over so we can take our brothers' bodies back for a proper burial. He turned around to gather local herbs to prevent the bodies from decomposing further, then planned to transport them all back to Liangzhou after the war had truly ended, so they could rest in their homeland. The overall situation was already settled. However, there would still be 2 to 3 months of cleanup to do. Fortunately, no further danger would arise in the aftermath, and Chun Sansi and his men would merely have to follow the capital army, pushing forward unopposed. In most cases, they wouldn't even need to engage in battle themselves. Simply observing from the sidelines would suffice. Chapter 252. Shocking the World _3. Capital City. Inside Longevity Palace. All the senior officials had arrived at court, creating a solemn atmosphere. Due to the delay in news from the war in Ming State, the emperor was preparing to lead the expedition himself. Your Majesty, please consider carefully. Yan Liang and others knelt and pleaded. You possess the body of a true dragon, the sovereign of our nation. How can you lightly go to war? Indeed, Your Majesty, Minister of War, Gao Bo emphatically said. Your Majesty is the stabilizer of our great Shang dynasty, and should not be moved lightly unless absolutely necessary. Father Emperor, your son is willing to go. The gray-haired regent crown prince, leaning on a cane, slowly made his way into the hall, set down his cane, and knelt gently. Father Emperor, allow your son to lead the expedition. Rise first. The curtains parted, and Emperor Longqing, with a ruddy complexion and full of vitality, approached the crown prince and personally helped him up. Haven't I already decreed that you need not kneel? You have difficulty with your legs. Do not harm your body. Huang Hong, would you provide a seat for the crown prince? Thank you, Father Emperor. Yes. The chief eunuch, dressed in plain clothes, hurriedly brought over a small stool and then assisted the crown prince in sitting down. Emperor Longqing slightly squinted his eyes. Crown Prince, what did you just say? Father Emperor, your son wishes to lead the expedition to Ming State. The Crown Prince spoke solemnly. Ming State to the north can spy on Yen State. To the east it oversees Liangzhou. Southwards it crosses the Great Wilderness, and it can directly threaten the militarily depleted Feng State and others. It is truly the gateway of our great Qing dynasty, a place where no mishap must occur. Father Emperor, Allow your son to lead the troops to Ming State, and your son guarantees with his life that he will quell the rebellion within 3 months. Your Majesty, I concur. Minister of War, Gao Bo followed up. Your humble servant wishes to accompany him with Jiang Yuanbua, Lu Ji, along with the Crown Prince and myself. We will definitely not fail. Heh! Emperor Longqing did not answer them immediately, but swished his sleeve, turned, and sat down on the dragon chair. After a long while, he leisurely responded. The Crown Prince is frequently ill, and the journey to Ming State is far, so let me go myself. That is settled. The Crown Prince and Gao Bo exchanged a glance, both displaying a touch of disappointment on their faces. The Emperor is wise. The previously dissenting Yan Liang, upon hearing that the Crown Prince wanted to go, also began to agree. Emperor Wan Shou personally leading the expedition to Ming State will definitely triumph magnificently. With the Emperor arriving, the rebels will certainly lose their nerve upon hearing the news. Enough! You all need not flatter me so. Emperor Longqing spoke gravely. Do you think I want to go? I have no choice. They say our great Shang dynasty is full of talented individuals, but when it comes down to it, how many can stand on their own? In the end, there are not enough capable people, nor enough loyal people. We are incompetent. Forgive us, Your Majesty. Fang Qingyun. Emperor Longqing looked toward the scholar in the corner. Come with me. Fang Qingyun slightly bowed his head. Your humble servant obeys the command. And then, Emperor Longqing was about to continue reviewing his troops and officers when suddenly loud shouts arose outside. Victory report. Great victory in Ming State. The battle reports were passed layer by layer into the palace. Inside the great hall, both civil and military officers heard it clearly, joy apparent on everyone's face. The chief eunuch Huang Hong immediately went out to greet them. Jiang Yuanbua truly is the foremost among the younger generation. Yes, in such a quick time. It must be Ji. You're right. Siege warfare is Marquis Ji's specialty. Emperor Longqing said. Read it quickly, right in front of everyone. At your command. Huang Hong opened the petition and read aloud. However, the expressions of the high civil and military officials soon froze. Even the usually impassive face of Emperor Longqing showed uncontrollable emotional fluctuations. Burning Golden Spring, 4 crossings of Hengzi, directly breaking into Mei Mountain, to the death of Dong, and each of these feats taken alone was a tremendous achievement, yet they all ended up attributed to one man. General of martial virtue, Chun Sansi. Boom! There were no clouds over the capital city, yet in everyone's ears, the rumbling of thunder was distinctly heard. For a moment, all was silent within Longevity Palace. There was not a single person who spoke. Everyone looked at each other, not even sure how to express their shock. Huang Hong. Finally, it was Emperor Longqing on the dragon chair who brought everyone back from their dazed state, pointing at the chief eunuch and commanding. You quickly sketched the entire process of the Ming State rebellion suppression campaign for everyone to see. Have every civil and military officer memorize it. Learn what it means to be a general, what it means to be a commander. The chief eunuch immediately gathered a few eunuchs, hung the map of Ming State in front of the many officers, and started to methodically replay the entire campaign. This seems too absurd. Every time just brushing past the enemy army. West Qi combined with the rebel army had over 100,000. Yet this young man with just a few thousand brought them down. My unworthy grandson, to be part of such a battle, is truly a stroke of fortune, the chief minister Yan Liang said in his aged voice. It's fortune for the great Shang dynasty to have such a young military talent, a blessing brought by your majesty's extensive merit. The crown prince, leaning on his cane, nearly pressing his face to the map. A divine general, a heaven-sent divine general. It seems neither His Majesty nor His Highness need to visit Ming State anymore. Gao Bo knelt and said, After this battle, I believe it will take at most another 3 to 5 months to completely settle the chaos in Ming State. Indeed it saves us, saves the court a lot of worry. Emperor Longqing looked towards the corner and asked, Fang Qing, speak up, did you teach him these things? Chapter 253. Shocking the World _4. Your Majesty, it wasn't my strategy. I am ashamed to say that after the war in Ming State broke out, I had no contact with Chun Sansi. Fang Qingyun said, all of this, I'm afraid, was his own adaptation to the circumstances. He looked at the route drawn in vermilion on the map, fearing that even upon his own return, he would have to study it carefully before recording it. In this battle, even if he himself were to take charge, he could not possibly achieve such a feat. At most he would preserve his own life. For crossings of Hongze. These 4 words were destined to be recorded in history books, included in military books, for disciples of military families to study and admire for hundreds, even thousands of years to come. He was only 18 years old. How many famed generals throughout thousands of years of history were 18 years old? Adaptation to the circumstances? When the courtiers heard that it had nothing to do with Phoenix, and was purely the result of Chun Sansi's independent command, they showed even more unimaginable surprise. Divine General! A heaven-sent divine general! The many officials bowed deeply. Congratulations to your Majesty. Felicitations to your Majesty. Ah, good. Emperor Longqing, who rarely showed his emotions, could not hide the joy in his eyes, and with a grand wave of his hand said, reward him. I want to reward him thoroughly. How about this? Once the unrest in Ming State is completely settled, find a time to summon him to the capital. I wish to meet this 18-year-old general in person. Fang Qingyun hesitantly said, Your Majesty, this? What? Is there something inappropriate? Emperor Longqing joked. Could it be that Fang Aiqing is afraid that I will take away your 8 camps man? Your Majesty's words make your servant tremble with fear. Fang Qingyun explained. Whether it's the 8 camps or all under heaven, they are all your Majesty's subjects to begin with. There is no question of taking anyone away. Look how scared you've become. I was just teasing you. Emperor Longqing leaned back in the dragon chair. Let's settle on this, then. After the war is over, the rest will be rewarded as appropriate. But as for the general of martial virtue, Chun Sansi, let's wait until he comes to the capital. In the meantime, I shall contemplate what rewards to bestow upon him. Your Majesty is wise. Fang Qingyun bowed and saluted. He turned his head to look outside the Grand Hall, towards the northern heavenly dome. The unrest in Ming State was over. In the 73rd year of Longqing's reign, on July 25th, the southern part of Ming State was pacified. On the 6th day of August, Zhong Wuxin, who was in the vicinity of Sword Gate Canyon, withdrew his troops, temporarily stabilizing the situation in Dingxi Prefecture. He dealt with forces from Yen State on one hand and orderly retreated on the other. On August 22nd, Vermilion Bird Camp and White Tiger Camp invaded the western part of Ming State, catching up with Zhong Wuxin's troops. The West Qi Kingdom's forces suffered an 80% loss, with 2 mysterious phenomenons killed, 20 meridian passages, and countless others. They retreated beyond the Great Wall, and after being supported by the troops within West Qi country's borders and losing another 2 engagements, they finally stabilized their position by leveraging the terrain. On September 12th, the main army cleared Ming State of the remaining rebels. On September 21st, Ming State was at peace. On September 28th, the Imperial Army returned to the capital in triumph. Other troops went back to their original posts, and the reserve camp returned in victory. Old Zhao. Did we come here in January or February? I don't remember. This war's been going on for nearly a year. Yes. It seems our Lord has become famous this time. And how, that martial saint from the capital, what's his name, Jiang something, he'll have to give way to our Lord by 3 points. Strange. Why do they all look so shocked when they hear about the battle results? Exactly. Isn't winning battles with our Lord very normal, very fitting? On the road back to Liangzhou, while the rest were still discussing the 4 crossings of Hongze, the brothers from Piyang remained unusually calm, simply feeling a bit ashamed. Brothers, we need to push harder with our training once we're back. Yes, we were of too little use. By the way, have you seen our lord? Seems like he went to Baigo County. Baigo County. Under the remains of broken walls, what was left of the city's gate swung precariously in the autumn breeze. Chun Sansi rode slowly into the city on Chen-sun. Not long ago, the Vermilion Bird Camp and the White Tiger Camp had been here. The corpses on the streets had all disappeared, presumably dealt with by the army, either burned or thrown into some desolate burial ground in the mountains. The county had become desolate, with only one or two numb-eyed survivors wandering about, apart from the occasional overpassing rat, turning the once thriving city into a ghost town. After this war, West Chi country had suffered greatly and would probably dare not have any designs for many years. But likewise, Ming State had also suffered a tremendous loss and would need 5 to 10 years of recuperation. Chun Sansi rode the White Swan horse in and around the city, but in the end, he couldn't find the figure he wished to see. Feeling a tinge of regret that perhaps it was not meant to be, he turned his horse, ready to leave. "Daddy!" It was at this moment that a timid yet courageous childish voice rose. Chun Sansi turned back. A thin, frail figure emerged from a narrow, cramped alley. Her clothes full of patches were now tattered, holding a dead rat she had found somewhere, her big eyes clear and bright against her dirt-stained face. Heaven knows how she had managed to survive until now. "You just now." Chun Sansi bent down. "Called me what?" "Daddy." The little girl didn't dare come too close. Standing 7 or 8 steps away, she earnestly said, "Dad told me when he can no longer speak, I should go out, call men daddy and women mommy." "All right." Chun Sansi dismounted and reached out his hands, striving to make his voice as gentle as possible. "Daddy will take you home. Through all the fighting." Chapter 254. Shocking the World _5. His body had long been tainted with an indescribable evil aura. But the hesitant little girl took only a moment before she walked over with small, quick steps. Chun Sansi scooped her up onto the horse's back. "Have you ever ridden a horse?"
No.
"What's your name?" "I'm called Yunchi." "What's your last name?" "What's Daddy's last name?" "I'm a Chun." "Then I'll be called Chun Yunchi." "Yunchi, just throw away the mouse." "But Daddy has jerky and pancakes here for you." "Oh." "Daddy, where are we going?" "Didn't I tell you we're going home?" "Oh, thank you, Daddy. Do I have a mommy?" "Yes, you do. By my calculations, you're about to become a big sister." October 22nd. War flames burning for 3 months. A family letter worth a fortune. Liangzhou. Chun Mansion. Ah! From within the bedroom came the sounds of agonizing struggle. Ya. Si Qin and Mo Hua were in a frantic state. What to do? What to do? What are you all yelling for? The best midwife in Liangzhou City said impatiently. Everything was going well. You're giving me a headache. Out. All of you. Miss Sun, you two, out. Oh, okay. Sun Li, realizing the situation, led the 2 maidservants out of the room. Bang, bang, bang. Having moved from the inner courtyard to the front, it was only then that they heard someone knocking persistently at the door. When Sun Li opened the door, she found it was Sun Byuki. "Sister." "Victory news. Victory news," Sun Byuki said with overflowing joy. "Sis, my brother-in-law, no, that's not right. Chun Sansi and the others have returned. How to put it? See for yourself." Sun Li read through the message quickly, her eyes betraying a complex emotion that was hard to articulate. "It's incredible. Just incredible." Sun Byuki hopped around excitedly, crossing the 4 crossings of Hongza. "Do you understand?" "You don't. I figured it out. I'll sketch it out for you later and explain it properly. This time, Chun Sansi's name won't just be famous in Liangzhou but in all of Dashing. No, in the entire world. Including Dongqing, Baimin. Everyone will remember this name." "Where are they?" Sun Li asked. "Have they come back?" "Soon. They will arrive today." Sun Byuki pointed towards the South City Gate. "Everyone's waiting over there. Let's go have a look." Sun Li brought out the horses. On the way to the city gate, The siblings also came across a carriage from the Red Sleeve Tower. Sister, isn't that the person from the Red Hand Tower? Son Buki was furious. Why is she coming to join in on the fun too? Wilderness. After ascending a slope, a behemoth crouched in the midst of the wilderness finally came into view at the end of everyone's sight. Liangzhou City. We're back. As the leading contributor to this battle's success, Chun Sansi rode at the forefront of the troops on his white swan horse, with the drowsy Chun Yunshi cradled in his arms, not even wearing his armor for her comfort. Skill. Horse control, small achievement. Progress. 855/2000. Skill. Archery, great success. Progress. 1250/2000.
Cultivation technique, National Gardien Dragon Spear.
Hua Jin, small achievement. Progress. 1455/2000. Having consumed all the treasure medicine he had with him, the good news was that reaching great success with Hua Jin was just a matter of the next couple of months, after which he would strive to break through to the Meridian Passage realm and make every effort to enter the Profound Image realm as soon as possible. Magic, Sword Chi skill, entry level. Progress. 135/500. With the Spirit Sand completely used up, and barely any progress in proficiency, Chun Sansi was temporarily unable to use spells. Once things settled down, he needed to quickly secure the incense burner from Si Yun Temple. The exploration deep in the Luotian mountain range had to continue, the trouble caused by the witch god sect in Ming State needed investigating, and he had to prepare the materials for arrows. These were personal matters, but in military affairs it seemed that next year there would be another campaign against the grassland, a battle on a scale greater than the Ming State campaign, and even more perilous. After all, in the Ming State, he hadn't directly faced a high-realm martial artist, but if he were to attack an enemy's homeland, he would definitely encounter high-realm martial artists. Thus, he had to quickly increase his strength. Meridian Passage was not enough. It would be best to reach the Xuanxiang realm before the campaign against the grassland. It didn't seem too bad at first, but once tallied, there was a lot to do, and not a moment to rest. Daddy, have we arrived? Chun Yunshi woke up and asked groggily. On the way back to Liangzhou, Chun Sansi made a special stop in Prefecture City for 2 days to give his adopted daughter a bath and change her into clean, nice clothes. The girl was clever and cute, though a bit skinny and dried out. We have. Chun Sansi pointed ahead with his riding crop. That's our home. Daddy, what are they singing? The Song of Triumph. The army that quelled the Ming State rebellion was returning in triumph, having dealt a devastating loss to the West Qi Kingdom, and naturally, there was cause for celebration. Officials big and small from Liangzhou City had already come out to welcome their return. From 20 miles away, one could see the ceremonial guards and banquet tables. Pei Tiannan and Mr. Ho were naturally at the forefront. LVG and the others were in the rear, and it would take a few more days for them to return one after another. Chun Sansi was clearly not the commander, yet still became the sole focus of attention. Mr. Chun. Mr. Ho approached with a cup of wine. We've all heard of your deeds. The way you fought this battle is indeed unprecedented and unparalleled. I'm in awe. Yes. Pei Tiannan didn't say much. Where are the young master and the others? Chao Fan and Sha Wenlong, who were finally rescued near Swordgate Canyon by LVG and his men in the last phase, and had since achieved some minor merits with Xuanwu Camp. The young master is in the rear, Chun Sansi said indifferently. He certainly hadn't forgotten how the other had repeatedly stabbed him in the back on the battlefield, and it was all done in the open, as if everything was known yet nothing could be done about it. At most it could be chalked up to a command error. Chapter 255. Shocking the World _6. Ironically, the largest portion of blame fell on Dong En's shoulders. The court's intention was that all the failures of this campaign would not be attributed to the various generals, because even the Ministry of War had not anticipated Dong En's treason. Including the Mingzhou rebel army, after their surrender, not all of them would be killed either. At most, only a part would be executed. The rest would be scattered and then relocated to other places, to be absorbed and assimilated into other state armies. We're talking about 70 or 80,000 people. Mass executions would be a huge loss for Dashing. Many thanks, Mr. Chun. Having received the news, Pei Tiannan went to seek the princely heir. After drinking the wine provided by Mr. Ho, Chun Sansi continued riding on. Near the city gate was a dense crowd of common folk, looking to number at least 100,000 people, practically overflowing the mountains and fields endlessly. They listened to the victors' songs and music, each of them craning their necks and standing on tiptoe among the ranks, searching for their husbands, sons, or fathers. Some found that their family members had distinguished themselves and returned home, weeping with joy, while others did not see any familiar figures even after the troops had completely entered the city, only the carts of corpses at the very end. They couldn't hold back their emotions and started to wail and rushed forward to claim the bodies. For some families, it was a time of joy. For others, a time of sorrow. The autumn brought grief, each degree varying in its chill. For one man's triumph, a sea of bones was the cost. Baelyong's desolate graves added yet more. Shanshur, little junior brother. The voices of men and women intermingled. Sun Buki and Sun Li exclaimed in unison. Bu Chi, senior sister. Chun Sansi smiled and said, "You've come as well. You're too cruel." Sun Buki exclaimed admiringly. "Nearly a year's time, and we all thought you were dead. But look at you. Not only are you alive, but you've also caused such a huge stir. Congratulations, little junior brother." Sun Li's usually cool tone warmed considerably. "After this battle, you're truly going to shake the world." "Eh?" Sun Buki noticed the child in his arms. "Shanshur, where did you pick up this little girl?" "Daddy, how should I address them?" the little girl said, tugging gently at the man's sleeve, looking somewhat uneasy. "Daddy? How long had it been?" Sun Buki, ? Sun Li, ? "They are both your grand masters." Chun Sansi introduced. "Don't be afraid. Cici has seen the grand masters." Chen Yunchi called out softly. Good girl." Sun Li came to her senses and reached out to pat Chen Yunchi's head. They could understand with a bit of thought. Even though he had been away for a year, it wasn't enough time to have a child, let alone a child who looked to be 5 or 6 years old. It was very likely a homeless child picked up from some chaotic place, just like their great senior brother once was. "Where is Sister Lan?" Chun Sansi asked. "How is she doing?" "You should hurry back," Sun Li said. "Counting the hours, my little nephew should be born by now, and besides, we hadn't had the chance to tell her you're safe and sound. Giddy up." Before they could finish speaking, Chun Sansi spurred Chen Sun onwards and was gone in the blink of an eye. Chen Mansion. Wah! With a loud cry, a newborn baby came into the world. Gu Xinlan, pale-faced, held the child in her arms, her eyes tinged with red. Sniff! Si Kinmohua also began to sob. "Ah!" The midwife let out a sigh. In these times of war and chaos, it's said that several tens of thousands went to Ming State, but Mr. Chan is different from the rest. A lucky man has his own celestial favor. Madam need not worry. Sniff, madam. Unable to hold back, Si Chin wept sorrowfully. "Rest assured, we will take good care of you. We will also take good care of the young master." "What are you crying for? I'm not dead." The door burst open. A sturdy, upright figure appeared. "Brother Sure. Mr. Chun?" Chun Sansi hurriedly rushed to the bedside. "Brother Sure. Don't move." Without looking at the child, Chun Sansi asked the others, "The medicine I left for my wife to recuperate, has it all been properly used?" "Stop worrying about me." Gu Xinlan strained to sit up. "How are you? Are you hurt?" "I'm as strong as an ox, don't you know?" "Rest assured. You really scared me to death." Wah! While the two of them were talking, the baby cried again. Chun Sansi then realized, and he picked up the child. Indeed a son. The name due he wasn't chosen wrongly. "Yunchi, this is your brother, and the woman in the bed is your mother." Mother. Chun Yunshi stammered. Good child. Gu Xinlan also guessed the cause and tenderly embraced the little girl. Si Kinmohua, with keen eyesight, bowed and said, Met the young miss, met the young master. Congratulations, Mr. Chun, the midwife said cheerily. Just like that, you have both a son and a daughter. Here, you worked hard. Chun Sansi took out several bars of silver. Oh my! Thank you, Mr. Chun. Please take care of my wife and child for now. I have some military affairs that I haven't finished dealing with. After making sure that everything was fine, Chun Sansi immediately headed towards the military city. The troops had to regroup and recount the mission upon their return. He seized the opportunity to inquire about something urgent. At the military camp. Don't get me started, in this year you all were gone. The witch god sect hasn't rested for a bit, and Li Qianzong said with a worried face. Just the other day, the 2 Taoists from Yun Temple died. Died? Chun Sansi pressed. I remember these 2 were not convicted. Did you later find evidence? That's not the case, Li Qianzong explained. After interrogating for almost half a year and still finding no substantial evidence, and with many major sects speaking in their favor and expressing dissatisfaction with the Liangzhou army privately, we were under pressure and were about to release them. Guess what happened then? The night before they were to be released, both of them died in the cell. Really? Chen Sansi had previously chatted with Li Qianzong for half an hour, casually bringing up Yun Temple to avoid drawing attention, and he continued to ask, how did they die?
Li Qianzong repliait, suicide.
Suicide. Chun Sansi pretended to be a simple bystander. How did they commit suicide? They smashed their own heads with a palm strike. Li Qianzong clicked his tongue. It's quite spooky. They were held in separate cells, so who knows why they wanted to commit suicide. Their deaths were easy for them, but now it's being said outside that the Liangzhou army is killing the innocent. Chun Sansi was clear in his heart. There must be something fishy about these suicides. He inquired, if I remember correctly, the 2 people who were captured, one was the temple master and the other was the supervisor. If both are dead, wouldn't Yun Temple have to close its doors for good? What worried him the most was whether the incense burner was still there or if someone had taken it away. Yun Temple is doing just fine, and no issues were found with the other Taoists under them. Li Qianzong said, moreover, I've heard they have some kind of master's uncle planning to return and take over Yun Temple soon. If you ask me, there will definitely be someone to take over. With just the incense money alone, they don't know how much they can make each year. It's simply a money tree. I can't understand what those martial saints are thinking, praying to immortals, thinking they themselves can become immortals? Ridiculous. Someone else is coming. Chun Sansi knew, if he wanted to act, he had to hurry. Chapter 256. Loyal Heroic Tablet. Incense Fire Divine Sect. Uncle Master. The Yun Temple indeed has many Taoists who wander outside, but coming back at this critical juncture, I'm afraid it's greatly connected to the immortal elixir and the incense burner, and it's quite possible that they are the masterminds behind everything. If we wait for them to return, grabbing the incense burner will become an extra hassle, and it's not impossible that the incense burner could be taken away directly. We can't delay any longer. We must take this opportunity while Yun Temple is unattended. Thousand Captain Li is right. Chun Sansi didn't forget to respond. I've also been there twice. The old Taoist only spoke of grand but empty things. Exactly, that's what I said. Li Qianzong continued to talk about other recent events. For example, the witch god sect is causing a stir, with various sects becoming increasingly agitated and beginning to organize search teams privately to look for hiding spots of the sect followers. They even cursed the Liangzhou army as useless and the like. Among them, Manor Master Wenji of Moon Splitting Mountain Villa lost 2 of his beloved disciples and has been patrolling all over the place like a madman, swearing to the heavens that he will expose the witch god sect followers no matter what. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Chun Sansi said his goodbyes. I still have some matters to attend to. Go ahead. Li Qianzong joked. General Chun, your military achievements this time are impressive. It's hard to say about your merit, but at the very least you should be promoted from 5th rank and at the very least become an assistant general in the army. The next time I see you, I'll have to address you as Vice General Chun. I hope so. Auspicious words from Thousand Captain Lee. Chun Sansi said with a fist salute. Let's gather the brothers we know sometime soon. I'll treat everyone at the Immortal Crane Tower. Great. We'll definitely take the chance to feast at your expense then. See you then. See you then. After dealing with the military affairs, it was nearing midnight. When Chun Sansi returned to his bedroom, he saw Sister Lan breastfeeding the child. And there seemed to be no room for him on the bed, because Yunchi was also sleeping in this room. Apparently because Sister Lan was worried she would get scared. Daddy! Chen Yunchi called out. It's over a month's journey from Ming State to Liangzhou. Having spent a month together, they had grown quite familiar with each other. All right, then Yunchi can stay here and accompany your mother and brother. Chen Sansi said, you can go back to your own room after a while. I'll be staying in the backyard for the time being. It was convenient for him to do some things. Okay. Chun Yunchi nodded emphatically. Once in the backyard, Chun Sansi took a bath with the help of Si Chin, changed into clean clothes, then lay on the bed to rest while taking out the bead. This object could produce an unknown mystical energy that could enhance formations, so he temporarily named it Xianju. On the journey, there were always too many people and too much attention. Only now did Chun Sansi have the opportunity to study it in detail. It's worth mentioning that since the Xianju came into his possession, the mystical energy contained within began to increase continuously, from a weak stream at first to a small clump of white smoke now, which seemed to be still increasing gradually. He did not know the reason behind this. Chun Sansi held the Xianju in his hand, closed his eyes, and tried to sense in the same state as when he was cultivating the sword chi skill. Before long, he established a special connection with the Xianju, and could then manipulate the energy inside to enhance himself. However, it seemed to be of no use as it did not enhance combat power for a single person. He also tried to use the Xuanju's energy to cultivate the sword chi skill, but that too failed. It seemed it could only be useful for army formations. Even so, it was absolutely a treasure, or rather, it might be useless for a mere martial artist, but it was a supreme treasure for a commander. The strongest battle of the Red Eyebrow Army was won thanks to the Xianju, which broke through the enemy army. It was said that the combat power demonstrated even surpassed that of the 8 camps. It's worth noting the Red Eyebrow Army was established for less than a year, and even most of the high-realm martial artists were gathered from various sects. Furthermore, for some unknown reason, the energy stored in the Xianju began to decrease, leading to a substantial weakening of the Red Eyebrow Army's combat effectiveness. Even so, his troops still struggled outside Maishan Prefecture. If he could accumulate enough mystical energy and then use it in one battle, he couldn't imagine the fighting power it would unleash. Just don't know how to accumulate it. It seems that the types of mystical energy are plentiful between heaven and earth, and we still know too little of it. Well, no need to use it for now since it's slowly increasing. It's better to save it. As for the heavenly book, Chun Sansi planned to hand it over to Mr. Ho in a couple of days, to avoid being questioned again, which was annoying enough. With these thoughts, he began to meditate, waiting until after everyone had fallen into a deep sleep before getting up quietly, armed himself and headed straight for Yun Temple. There was no time to lose. The benefits of the sword chi skill were too significant. This was still only entry level. If he achieved even minor mastery, there should be no fear even when facing high-realm experts. Spirit Mist Mountain was silent as death. There were no patrolling disciples in Yun Temple at night either. Chun Sansi had long ago rehearsed the infiltration route in his mind countless times, and he encountered no obstacles. With the help of concealing breath and hiding and sword chi skill, he was confident he wasn't exposed and smoothly made his way inside the main hall. Looking at the incense burner shrouded in purple energy. Once again, he checked to make sure no one was following, then he slowly approached. Initially planning to simply pick it up and run, he noticed as he neared that there was a trace of red glow at the bottom of the incense burner. This was blood. Chun Sansi became alert. This blood glow was in a very peculiar position, surely the work of someone with intent. And it seemed very likely to be some sort of tracking mechanism to prevent the object from being stolen. Chapter 257. Loyal Heroic Tablet, Incense Fire Divine Sect _2. Buzz! As he pondered what to do next, the Shenju in his bosom suddenly resonated with some kind of response. The Shenju seemed to be able to store incense power. Chun Sansi immediately took out the Shenju. Sure enough, drawn by some mysterious force, the purple incense power that had accumulated over a long time within the incense burner was all absorbed into the Shenju, where it coexisted with the white mystical energy already present without interference. Moreover, there seemed to be a certain degree of shielding effect. If one did not hold it in hand, it was virtually impossible to sense the incense power inside. So this bead actually has this kind of use. In less than the time it took to drink a cup of tea, the purple incense power inside the burner had been completely cleansed. Not a wisp remained. Having obtained the incense power, Chun Sansi had intended to turn around and leave. But he still felt it was a pity. The mystic iron furnace could not withstand the temperature of the abnormal fire, and since such items were rarely sold anywhere, constantly buying new ones to take home would certainly attract attention. He still lacked a container that could withstand the heat of the abnormal fire. Although the incense power in the incense burner was depleted, it would be a real waste to just leave it there. Taking it with him, however, he didn't know if the person behind the scenes had some way to track it. After brief contemplation, Chun Sansi quickly came up with an idea. In the end, he decided to take the incense burner with him. After leaving Ci-Yun Temple, he headed straight for the Luotian mountain range, along the way gathering a large quantity of spiritual grain. He also did not go to his original secret base but instead randomly found a tiger's cave, slaughtered the sleeping tiger, and then began to refine medicine on the spot with an immortal treasure. Since I can't keep these items for long, might as well refine enough at one go. Boom! A red fire dragon rose up and swiftly enveloped the incense burner. Under the torture of the fearsome temperatures, the burner did not warp or deform like the mystic iron furnace. This proved it was indeed not a mundane artifact. However, it seemed that the effectiveness of the refined spiritual grain was not much better than with the mystic iron furnace. Everything has its own purpose. The incense burner was meant to absorb incense power and not for refining medicines. It was already good enough that it could be used as such. While maintaining the flames, Chun Sansi prepared pot after pot of spiritual grain medicine ointment, quickly filling up the water bags left by Vice Admiral Yu to the brim, and then filled up the medicine gourds he had prepared in advance. All of these together should be enough for half a year or even more. With that, keeping the incense burner didn't serve much purpose. He certainly couldn't brazenly use it to snatch the incense power in temples. Keeping it in his possession was nothing but a curse. Of course, he wouldn't return it either, as it had other uses. After dealing with the scene, Chun Sansi hoisted the furnace and headed straight into town. He was responsible for patrolling the city and knew all too well about its inhabitants. This was the so-called threat from within, as he effortlessly arrived at a grand estate. Even though there was no signboard in front of the residence, it was clear that it housed a wealthy family. This place was Chow Fan's residence. Chun Sansi planned to give him the incense burner, marked with bloodlight, as a gift. That way, if the person behind the scenes were to search, they could only trace it to someone with the surname Chow. Had it not been for the concern that there was always a eunuch at his side in the mastery of Meridian Passage realm, Chun Sansi would have acted as a witch god sect follower and taken his life that very night. It was a pity that he had initially struggled against someone who had only minor Meridian Passage, let alone mastery of Meridian Passage. He would certainly have to wait until he himself had achieved Meridian Passage before taking action. As it happened, the old eunuch had not gone to war before since he was protected by Sha Wenlong, not having any actual duties and merely accompanying the princely heir as his attendant. If the owner of the incense burner came looking and they took their lives directly, it would save Chun Sansi a lot of trouble. Using this opportunity, Chun Sansi also wanted to see what kind of background the person collecting incense power had. He leaped onto the roof, located the eunuch's position using the Qi observation skill, confirmed that the other party was resting, and then made his way to the backyard. The mansion was large, and there was even a pond in the back garden. Chun Sansi gently sank the incense burner into the water, then left as quietly as he had arrived, making not a single sound. When he returned home, he sat cross-legged on his bed and began to play with the Shenju, but he didn't rashly start practicing the sword Qi skill. Based on sensation alone, the purple incense power's mystical energy could certainly replace spiritual energy to some extent, but the exact difference once absorbed into the body was still unknown. It was better not to act recklessly for now. If necessary, look for an opportunity to ask his fourth senior brother. The problem was they didn't know when they would return, and after the war, Hai Dongxing went off to find senior sister 9. Even with it in hand, he dared not use it to send messages about immortal law, especially not in the capital city where a slight mishap could land it in the emperor's hands, causing trouble. For the time being, he could try to coax some related knowledge out of seeking Immortal Tower, playing on their previous unfinished transaction. It was indeed time to make a visit. This incense power seems not as plentiful as it looks. Chun Sansi held the Shenju, sensing the incense power inside, which was far less abundant than he had imagined. It felt as if someone had taken a stock from it once. That was normal, of course. Since some people were collecting, naturally others were using it. Let's wait and see. After a great battle, Chun Sansi finally had a few days to rest. Chun Sansi spent his free time practicing martial arts and accompanying his child. Yunqi was a child so sensible it hurt one's heart. On the second day at home, she woke up earlier than Si Qin and Mo Hua, went to the kitchen to cook porridge for everyone, or otherwise washed clothes and cleaned the house. Chapter 258. Loyal Heroic Tablet, Incense Fire Divine Sect _3. To prevent her from working, they simply sent her to the governor mansion to begin her enlightenment and study. Time flew by. Another 10 days or so had passed. Cultivation Technique. National Guardian Dragon Spear. Hua Jin. Small Achievement. Progress. 1855/2000. In a little while, he would reach great success in Hua Jin, and then it would be time to attempt the Meridian Passage. After breakfast in the morning, someone came to notify them, asking them to gather at the military city. Qian Sun, what are you doing? Chun Sansi acutely sensed that the white horse between his legs was throwing a tantrum. All right, it's my fault. Once the main pet understood his intention, Chun Sansi quickly realized that Qian Sun was angry because he had broken his promise. He had agreed to give it some spiritual grain when they crossed the river, but he ended up eating it all himself. I'll give it to you tonight, okay? Stop being capricious now, let's get going. Chun Sansi urged on, and before the horse's hooves could even kick off, he saw another familiar face. Mr. Chun. Zhao Zhao said sarcastically, you really are forgetful of old friends, aren't you? You've been back for so many days and haven't even thought to visit my lady. I was just about to. Chun Sansi had promised to share intelligence with the other party and had also asked for help in finding materials for bows and arrows. Not to mention the matter of the incense, he had been planning to visit anyway. He said, would you ask your lady to wait for me tonight? And you, girl, speak more respectfully to me from now on. Otherwise, be careful I leave a scar on your face again. You! Zhao Zhao initially wanted to retort, but remembering that this fellow really would do such a thing, she deflated immediately. Just you wait. I'll have my revenge sooner or later. She left a fierce remark and scurried away. Chun Sansi couldn't be bothered with her and rode Qian Sun to the military camp to report. All the soldiers of the reserve camp had already assembled early at the martial arts arena. The cleanup operations in Ming State had also been thoroughly settled. Lu Ji and others returned on the same day. Today was the day for their recognition and reward ceremony. The chief eunuch Ho Bao stood atop the high platform, reading the imperial decree himself. Every surviving member of the remnants of the reserve camp received a reward. The last one called was Chun Sansi. Promote Chun Sansi to the third rank post of General Hua Yuan, to hold the office of assistant general. Is that all? The group of people kneeling below were murmuring in their hearts. Their lord had made great contributions, why such meager rewards? Not even gold, silver treasures, or medals. Before they could find it strange, they heard Ho Bao continue. Additionally, assign Chun Sansi to await orders in Liangzhou, and to choose a date to enter the capital for his investiture. To enter the capital for investiture. This, how grand must the reward be? To require a trip to the capital? Entering the capital for an audience with the emperor, and receiving an edict for investiture were completely different concepts. Brother Chun, it seems you really might ascend to the heavens in one leap. Yan Chongqing thought to himself with emotion. After the imperial decree had been read, everyone bowed their heads together. We thank heavenly grace. Long live the emperor. Long live. Long live. May he live forever. Mr. Ho. Chun Sansi found a gap and spoke up. I want to ask about the rewards for Vice Admiral Yu Song and Captain Chen Chung. Yu Song. Mr. Ho thought for a moment and replied. That man disobeyed orders on the battlefield. If it weren't for Mr. Chen's heroic efforts, Ming State might have faced destruction. At that time, the situation was not suitable for attacking Yangchun Prefecture. It was definitely not deliberate disobedience. Chun Sansi explained. Besides, this strategy was decided after our discussion. If someone has to be accused of disobedience, then we all share in that disobedience. Indeed, Lu Shuhua was the first to corroborate. Mr. Ho, what General Chun is saying is true. In fact, they had also disagreed with crossing the river at the time. It was purely under pressure that they disobeyed. But by now, they all deeply admired General Yu Song. Mr. Ho. General Yu was utterly loyal to Dashing. He deserves a reward. Xiesishu said. His family, wife, and children also need an explanation. Please clear General Yu's name. Those kneeling on the ground, if they had official positions, were essentially all advocating for Yu Song. Only Yan Chongqing remained silent. Mr. Ho. Chun Sansi spoke earnestly. If it weren't for Vice Admiral Yu's decision to risk his life storming Luotian Pass and intimidating Liangji from Mei Mountain, we couldn't have achieved our ultimate victory. Our household is aware of this. Ho Bao said in his high-pitched voice. It is precisely for this reason that the court has decided not to punish him. Otherwise, disobedience merits decapitation, and if it led to serious consequences, even executing his entire family would not be too extreme. If Mr. Chun really cannot bear this, you could always give him some silver coins in private. Mr. Ho. Chun Sansi spoke earnestly again. This is not a matter of silver coins. Vice Admiral, you didn't go to Luotian Pass for material gains. Mr. Chun, I appreciate your sense of righteousness, but you must understand something. Disobedience is disobedience. It's a fatal rule. Though it didn't cause a negative outcome this time, what if everyone in the future follows suit, believing that disobeying orders might earn them great contributions? Wouldn't that throw the entire military into chaos during battles? Mr. Ho paused, then lowered his voice and continued. If it is as you say, Mr. Chun, and the strategy to disobey was decided by you, let me be blunt. If it weren't for Vice Admiral you taking the brunt of the blame, even you would be punished. Mr. Chun, do not speak further. Ho Bao interrupted. If you are truly unsatisfied, Mr. Chun, you may write a petition through the Ministry of Communication, and then submit it to the cabinet. No matter how earnestly you appeal to me, I cannot make this decision for you. I understand. Chun Sansi felt a complex mix of emotions. Yu Song had disobeyed orders. Yet nothing was mentioned about Sha Wenlong and Chao Fan, who had attempted to kill him. On the contrary, their act of splitting the forces was considered meritorious. As for why they didn't cross the river altogether, it was explained as a cautious military move, not daring to risk the entire army's annihilation. Chapter 259. Loyal Heroic Tablet. Incense Fire Divine Sect _4. This is simply inverting black and white. Yet there's no way to refute it, because there is no evidence. Chun Sansi felt a nameless anger burning within him. One protected by a close ally who had achieved mastery of Meridian Passage, the other a general at the profound image realm. He was still too weak. As long as one has sufficient strength to wrap things up cleanly, what does the surname Chow matter? Previously he was powerless. But moving forward he would try. Mr. Ho, may I have a word with you? Chun Sansi gestured invitingly. Mr. Ho did not refuse, but as they walked he said, Mr. Chun, if you still wish to discuss the matter of Vice Admiral Yu, there's no need. Please bother Mr. Ho to convey this to His Majesty on my behalf. Chun Sansi held several booklets resembling gold foil. Is this the heavenly book? Mr. Ho looked somewhat entranced. Our family was planning to ask about this matter in private, but Mr. Chun has taken the initiative to present it. Chun Sansi recited the excuse he had prepared well in advance. I dare not forget His Majesty's kindness for a moment. Having gained something in battle, how dare I keep it to myself? Well done. Mr. Chun is truly a loyal minister and good general. No, a loyal minister and divine general. Mr. Ho inquired tentatively. Mr. Chun, have you ever studied this object? To be honest, I studied it for several days, but the text on it is like talisman painting, truly incomprehensible. It's indeed a heavenly book. Chun Sansi, who had been holding the item in his hand for months, would only be believed by a fool if he said he hadn't studied it. After meeting Jiang Yuanbo, the martial saint from Capital City, he planned to give it to him, but it turned out that it was best to pass it to Mr. Ho upon return, indicating this person was one of the innermost trusted by the old emperor. He paused, then continued, presumably, only the current emperor could understand it. This item will be temporarily in our family's custody, and someone from the palace will come for it later. Mr. Ho said, if it truly is the heavenly book, then Mr. Chun has made a great contribution. TSK, you've only joined the military for a short time, and yet you have repeatedly done great services for the court. This must be heaven's blessings on our great dashing, a destiny that our state will flourish for tens of thousands of years. You flatter me. I am but an ordinary courtier, said Chun Sansi. Speaking of which, Mr. Ho, could you reveal a little about why His Majesty wishes to summon me to Capital City? What else could it be but a wonderfully good thing? Mr. Ho whispered. Mr. Chun is unaware, but His Majesty is extremely fond of you, praising you in front of the entire assembly of civil and military officials. You, my dear sir, are truly on the path to glory. Chun Sansi inquired. Then did His Majesty mention when it would be? That has yet to be determined. Mr. Ho sighed. In recent years, with unrest on all sides, even the emperor has started to reduce his seclusion. Whenever there's a spare moment, he will surely summon you. Thank you, Mr. Ho. Chun Sansi took out a silver note and passed it over. Mr. Chun, I mustn't accept this. Mr. Ho laughed while declaring. Our family dares not take your silver again. If you truly wish to show appreciation, just look after our family in the future. That would be gratitude enough. In that case, I will take my leave first. Chun Sansi bowed and turned to leave. It was useless to speak of Yu Song's matter with this eunuch. Better to go back and write a petition to try his luck. As for the heavenly book, they were even less likely to suspect anything. Because the heavenly book was indeed genuine, if the old emperor was truly cultivating immortality, he would recognize it at a glance. However, it was only half true, as the other half remained in his possession. And this, likely only immortals besides Liang Jinian knew. Speaking of this, Chun Sansi began to become curious. Did Liang Jinian truly meet an immortal? Where did he meet them? He was in a state of half-belief. But considering his fourth senior brother mentioned their master had met an immortal too, he felt it was indeed highly possible. If this were true, were immortals descending frequently? What were they trying to accomplish? It's a pity the master isn't here. Otherwise, I could have inquired thoroughly about Liang Ji's matter. Forget it. Best to concentrate on cultivating, for now. Chun Sansi stopped his wild thoughts. After watching Chun Sansi leave, Mr. Ho found Yen Chongqing and took out the heavenly book. Young Master Yen, please take a close look. Is this item the same as the one previously in Liang Ji's possession? It cannot be mistaken. Yen Chongqing affirmed confidently, it is genuine. That's good. Mr. Ho clicked his tongue. It seems Mr. Chun really has no ulterior motives. The next day, after handling military affairs, Chun Sansi led a few brothers into the city. All along the way, many homes displayed white lanterns and the streets were littered with paper money. They stopped in front of a residence with 3 courtyards, and even before entering, they heard wailing from within. In the center of the courtyard, there was a coffin surrounded by women and half-grown children dressed in mourning, and occasionally, familiar faces from the Liangzhou army arrived to pay their respects. Chun Sansi entered the courtyard and silently began to burn paper money by the brazier. Lu Shuhua and Xie Sishu followed suit. You must be Mr. Chun Sansi, right? A woman spoke up, and upon acknowledgement, led her whole family in a deep bow. She was the legal wife of Yu Song, Madam Song. Madam, my condolences. Chun Sansi was not good at comforting others, simply stating, if you need any help in Liangzhou City in the future, just send someone to find me. I reside in Qingchuan Lane. Yes, 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 Xie Sishu joined in. Whatever we can help with, we will do. Lu Shuhua added. At any time, the Tongxian sword sect will treat Madam with the highest honor. Thank you for your kindness, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Madam Song dabbed away tears with a handkerchief. And please, don't overly grieve for my husband. It's not appropriate for me to say this, but for him, dying on the battlefield is, indeed, dying with honor. Chapter 260. Loyal Heroic Tablet. Incense Fire Divine Sect _5. Woo woo. The concubine next to him sobbed. Yes, when the master was alive, his greatest wish was to one day make a name for himself on the battlefield, and then become famous and honored. This time he's made such great achievements. The highest achievement belongs to Mr. Chun, and the next, surely is the master's, fulfilling one of his lifelong desires. Mr. Chen, a 15 or 16-year-old boy earnestly asked, this time, my father should be able to receive the Loyal Heroic Tablet, right? Yes, the Loyal Heroic Tablet. That was father's greatest aspiration. The youngest child said, Wu Ergu often brags to us about the tablets his family has. Chun Sansi looked at them and for a moment, didn't know how to answer. Normally, if a military officer died in battle after achieving merit, announcing it to the whole world would be natural, and if the merit was significant, a posthumous title and noble rank might be granted, but Yu Song's position was neither high nor low, and he was not yet eligible for a title or a posthumous name. Even so, according to the customary practices of the Great Sheng dynasty, it should first be announced to the world, then award a tablet similar to Loyal Heroic to be hung in front of his family home. If his descendants study martial arts, they would also receive martial arts resources, and once their realm was sufficient, they could inherit their father's position. But Vice Admiral Yu had none of these. Forsaking the rewards, he likely wouldn't even get a tablet. All because of so-called insubordination. Insubordination? What nonsense! Lu Shuhua, Xie Sishu, and others also felt ashamed. Not daring to stay any longer, they left one after another, having offered their condolences. Chun Sansi began to mentally draft a petition, pondering how to exonerate Vice Admiral Yu from the stigma of insubordination. I'll write it when I get home tonight. After leaving the Yu mansion, he made his way directly to Red Sleeve Tower and familiarly entered through the back door. Today, Chun Sansi went upstairs with a sword. With a slight push of his thumb, he revealed the cold gleam beneath the scabbard, signaling Ning Xiang not to throw herself at him. What a pretense! Ning Xiang covered her fragrant shoulders with a light gauze, pouted and said, Aren't you just worried that I have some immortal trick to trap you? Otherwise, wouldn't you take advantage if it were convenient? You're someone with lustful intentions but not the courage to follow through. You're just average. Chun Sansi, having been there several times and got acquainted, spoke while walking to the table and sitting down. After checking the wine pot, he saw no issues. He poured himself a cup. Average. Ningxiang was stunned, then quickly asked, "What do you mean?" "Just what it sounds like." Chun Sansi sipped the wine and picked up 2 cakes to eat. "Fine then, you rotten man." Ningxiang's pretty face showed a hint of anger. "Sooner or later, I'll set you straight. Let's talk business." Chun Sansi bluntly said, "The matter of the heavenly book is over. I have already submitted the object to the court. It seems it has nothing to do with the method to reach the immortal realm, only suitable for leading troops in battle. Their transaction had been for the method to reach the immortal realm and traces of immortals. Other details were naturally unnecessary." Speaking of this, Ningxiang also turned serious. "What about the others? The immortal who bestowed the immortal treasure to Liang Jinian. Have you seen him?" Chun Sansi shook his head. "All right." Ningxiang appeared slightly disappointed. "It's a pity I didn't have a chance to see the heavenly book myself. General Chun came back and didn't think to show it to me first." "Show it to you? Careful. His Majesty might come after you." Chun Sansi changed the subject. "What about the arrowhead material I asked you to find last time? Did you find anything?" "General Chun is in luck. I just inquired through the Seeking Immortal Tower branches and found something that the general wants." Ningxiang signaled with her eyes. "Oh." Zhao Zhao reluctantly rummaged through a chest and finally took out a lump of iron from a chest full of corsets and placed it heavily on the table. "Here, take it. This is..." Chun Sansi picked up the black shiny lump of iron. He hadn't seen it in books, and based on touch and appearance it seemed similar to mist iron, but he could clearly tell it was different. "This thing has no name," Ningxiang introduced. "If it must be labeled, it could be considered a type of mist iron. It was just born in a special location and nourished by peculiar mystical energies, giving rise to some unusual properties. Ordinary mist iron can only conduct force, but this can be used to store force. It's for a short duration, about a few breaths' time, and it's very rare. There's only so much, not even enough to make a spearhead." Chun Sansi focused his force, conducting it into the black iron, and indeed found it could briefly store force on its surface, though the duration was really short and the material was scant. But it was enough. It was perfect for arrowheads. With the ghost vein what he saw in the 100 Herbs map before his expedition to Ming State, which could store force, he could craft arrows that maintain force after being fired. During the last venture into Ming State, bows and arrows were practically useless against high-realm martial artists, and were only able to clear out martial artists below the realm of refining internal. Last time, even the fierce monster in the Luotian mountain range couldn't be injured. No wonder few were fond of archery. As someone advanced higher, it became less effective, and most martial artists preferred close-range weapons for hunting exotic beasts rather than bows and arrows. But if they could store force, that'd be different. Don't forget, he could also store force. "Miss Ningxiang." Chun Sansi didn't rush to take the material, but gently placed it on the table. "Let's talk. What do you need me to do?" The exchange was agreed upon before heading to Ming State. After all, it was a transaction. "And here I thought you'd want to freeload again.